All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics of Local America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Well, y'all know it's another Friday, so y'all know we back again. And I know y'all see our beloved brother, uh, Pastor in the Hood, Reverend Doctor Ali. I know they come back to claim their time.
Oh, no, 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 no. But then we had the opportunity. Here we are.
You know, and you know where I got that from, Ali. Claim my time, right?
Mhm.
What's the Congresswoman? Remember when they were trying
Shirley
to claim?
Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm.
No, well, she said it, but it was another sister who said it.
Out of Texas.
No, out of
Barbara
California.
Jordan,
No, the sister out of California,
Maxine
California.
Waters.
Maxine Waters.
Okay.
When they were trying to cut her off in Congress,
Oh,
she
yeah.
every time they did it, she'd say, "I'm gonna claim my time." You know.
That works.
Yeah, absolutely. So she wasn't letting them cut her off. She said, "No, I'm gonna claim my time."
I'm coming back to claim it.
Exactly. So of course y'all know that it is a extra Friday. So what we decided to do is to bring the disciples back and pick up on some conversation that we didn't get an opportunity to finish. So we're gonna talk with them tonight. About some things that's going on that's real impactful. So I want to get their opinion on that. And of course, we got the New York Anti-Violence Coalition, which Brother Ali is also a member of. So they're going to take over a little bit tonight because they're going to share some things that they're going to talk about. One of the rallies and one of the causes they picked up in the street, and just get a people a tidbit, Brother Zaid, what that's going to be.
Yes. Carl Dorsey, say his name. Right. We've had the unpleasant surprise of having a police shooting on January 1st, the first in over a year in Newark, and it looks like a bad shoot preliminarily. The young brother over on South 11th in near Springfield, over by Woodland. And we had to shut Springfield Avenue down, and we're going to talk about how we're trying to get some motion on that case, as that case is now before the Attorney General's office. We'll have Sharif Ahmed Hotep and Dawn Haynes of the Mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, the Brick City Collective. And we may also have some of this young man's actual family, because our task in these kind of situations, when the other media just victimizes and demonize us to protect white supremacy, it is our responsibility to humanize our people and to humanize their story, so the narrative is, from us is our narrative. So look forward to that.
That's right. So that's going to come
Right.
up in the 7 o'clock hour.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, at the 8:30 hour, we're going to do a roundtable and just talk about everything in the news and everything that's going on in the Black community. And then DJ Rhino is going to take it over. He's going to talk about what's happening in hip hop, and we're going to try and get the latest of some of the things that's going on in the industry right now, or I should say, what's left of the industry. So we're going to talk about that. But of course, up first, we're going to talk with the disciples, and so I'm gonna go on and pass it on to my brother, Brother Minister Haq Muhammad, who is now president. So, Brother Haq, I'm gonna pass it to you, and and let's get into some conversation about some things that are going on, my brother. Peace.
Peace, brother Ed. Peace, brother. Is brother John on?
No, John's not gonna be on tonight. He's doing a debate.
Oh, okay.
And besides, I put him on suspension. What's that thing you said that I needed to go on, brother?
He Class C.
Class C, yes, sir.
Is that still the class of the uncivilized mind?
Yeah, that's Class C.
C
Yes,
class.
sir. He in Class C. Well, first and foremost, brother Ed, brother Ali, DJ Rhino, brother Zaid. I'm always deeply grateful and highly honored for the privilege and the pleasure to speak to you all. Particularly as a student and follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I definitely thank you, Brother Ed, for your consistency and your level of dedication as it relates to, just informing our people, trying to educate our people, whether that be politics or law, or just your experience as a Black man, in America and particularly in North. So I want to thank you for your consistency and your hard work. Also, you, Brother Zaid, liberator, educator, always inspiring our people on the front line, as well as Brother Ali, always informing our people, teaching them the gospel, whether that be the social gospel, or Mark, Luke, John, and Matthew. So I thank you, brothers. So much is going on nationally as well as internationally. So much is going on locally. We know that a 4-year-old was just shot in Georgia King Village, in the city of Newark. Very devastating. I don't think he's passed. Last I inquired, he was still in surgery. But I think that, violence is ubiquitous. It's all over America, really all over the world. We see the high levels of suicide, particularly in the urban community, the Black community. The level of violence is just egregious. It's very disheartening. It's very sickening. And that's why myself, along with the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, Newark Community Street Team, Brother Byron, so many others, Brother Damon, along with Brother Zaid, so many other brothers and sisters are doing all that we can to combat this violence, particularly here in the city of Newark. We know that violence is down. I believe, according to the Newark Star Ledger, I've seen that I think Newark had maybe 51 homicides this year. Reverend Roundtree probably could give us a more accurate
last
number.
year, 2020.
I think it was 51 homicides, between 51 and 52. I know that they said he took over 500 guns, illegal firearms off the street. So that's definitely something that's plaguing our community. There's a level of ammunition and guns, these high caliber weapons that's all over our street, these illegal firearms. So it's something that we have been trying to combat and that we are combating. And I think that the work that the various community organizations are doing, along with the Newark Police, we have to give them credit where credit is due. I think the community coming together and working cooperatively, has impacted the city and the level of crime. Right now, specifically, we're working on something called the Newark Peace Agreement, which is a systematic, functional alternative to stem the tide of violence that, again, is perpetuated in our community. So that's what's happening locally. I just wanted to mention that. Brother Zaid talked about the police shooting that was done. What day was that, Brother Zaid? That was on the
January
1st, right?
1. January 1.
Some other videos have been floating around on social media as it relates to police just jumping out, harassing, some of our community youth. They've been very controversial. We know that Newark are now in the process of getting a lot of these plainclothes officers to wear their body cameras, which I think is important. We know the level of police brutality in this country, is very astounding. And so many organizations and people have been bringing light to it. And I think that the relationship between the police and the community in the city of Newark has improved. I think it's a lot to be done as it relates to continuing to improve that relationship. But just as we were celebrating that no police had fired a shot in 2020, January 1st, we see a cop killing another Black man. So it's something that has to be addressed. I know it's being looked into. He's on administrative leave. Again, Brother Zaid, other community organizations were out there rallying, bringing attention to it. Brother Sharif Imhotep. So we thank all of them. But it's just so much work that has to be done locally in terms of just violence, the social and economic condition of our people. But we working. So that's just on a local level. I just thought, Brother Ed, that I needed to touch that. I see Reverend Roundtree is on. Reverend Roundtree, if you would like to interject or add anything as it relates to the 4-year-old child that was shot in the chest in Georgia King Village, if you could give us an update maybe on how he's doing.
It's a little girl.
Little girl, okay. Yeah, how she's doing. I'm sorry.
She's a little girl. Her name is, doesn't matter what her name is. Thank God that she is healing. We have to pray for not just this little girl, but her mother and a community. that is so far removed from compassion and concern and thinking. The movement, the one nation, the one
Hood
hood. I'm sorry, the
under
one hood
God.
under God is going to be something that is so well needed, along with the initiatives of the Brick City Peace Collective, because we have to continue sending this messaging out. When people just come out shooting, not knowing who, that could have been somebody's grandmother as well. It could have been somebody's mother. It could have been their relative, and they would not have known. No consciousness. We just thank God that she's coming along. I don't want to say too much, because I do know that all we need to say right now is, whoever you are, you need to come on out, because it won't be long before you're bought out. And that's all. There's not much to say. The sickening, the pain, the gut feeling of a 4-year-old baby having to endure gunshot wounds because of someone else's cowardice acts, or there's not a whole lot to say about that, other than we just thank God that she's healing, and
Yeah,
that we're
just
not, and that
the
we're not having
indiscriminate shooting. The indiscriminate shooting.
just horrible.
You
It's
know, in our
horrible.
community, we see it happening quite often. And it's something that's, like you said, very gut wrenching and very heartbreaking. And it's something that we have to consistently combat. We have to do all that we can as a community to try to prevent these type of egregious acts from happening.
Yes.
I know Pastor Ali, Pastor in the Hood, you have done so many funerals of young children, boys, girls, babies who are still growing and developing, and they have never really got a chance to live and grow because they've been shot down or caught in the middle of a disagreement between neighborhoods or individuals, disagreements that could have been solved, you know, if we as a community were functioning more like a community.
Yes,
We really have to begin to correct this bystander apathy. You know, this I ain't hear nothing, I ain't see nothing mentality that our community has.
Until it hits your family.
Yeah,
Let me also
Then you
say,
want everybody.
we also found out that our little sister, the victims were the family, were family to our little sister Natasha Allen.
Natasha Allen,
So I
right?
want to
One of the
send
victims.
some
Yeah.
healing prayers and some healing energy to Tasha and her family. Tasha's one of our frontline soldiers in the North Anti-Violence Coalition. It was personal loss that brought her to us when we were launching the North Anti-Violence Coalition. And here we are again. Here we are again. So we all emit energy of prayers and healing and whatnot. And and of course, we're on our post doing what we need to do, try and turn this thing around. That number is a significant number. I'm not going to talk more because I want y'all to get your thing off, right? Because we have been averaging 100 shootings or more for the last 20-some odd years, right?
Yes, sir.
Because all of the work that we've been doing, because we didn't just stay in the streets, we took City Hall, and City Hall is doing what City Hall is supposed to do. You at least can acknowledge that the numbers are the right way and the violence is going down, but it's still bad whenever it's ugly, self-destructive, murderous, killing head.
Yeah.
One thing we can be optimistic about is, in this case, we're not making any funeral arrangements.
Yes.
But I mean, it could have, just imagine the outrage, but it should be even the same outrage that this little girl's life was saved, and our brother who is in the process of healing as well. We're not sending condolences, as Brother Zahid said, we're sending out prayers, but we're praying more for the mindset of these individuals who are pulling these guns out and with no remorse, no thought, no, you don't know. You just no nothing. You just come out, you pull out a weapon, and you start shooting up cars, and you don't know. Can you imagine the thought? How in your mind can you go home and sleep at night after hearing on the news that a 4-year-old, because of your cowardice act?
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
I know it is. I know it's Ali has done more funerals for babies and 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds and running around shooting and stealing cars. And the other day, while they were trying to have a protest on one block, 2 cars just crashed into each other. The kids jumped out and ran. Don't whether they hurt somebody, don't whether they hit somebody. I mean, the mindset of the community,
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean,
got to be
that's why
dealt
Living
with.
Under God is going to be a powerful movement, and we need to get that going
and
along.
that's why
Yeah,
the community collectively, you know, we
collectively.
all have to lend our expertise, our
That's
knowledge.
right.
No
That's
one
right.
group or organization is going to be able to do it all. It's going to be our cooperative
Gotta be
coming together
cooperative.
cooperatively and pulling the best of our resources to really combat the cycle of violence that have
Yes, God.
ravaged our community for so long. You know, it's really been perpetual. Again, like Brother Zaid said, according to the statistics that I read, the homicides are down 50 to 51. But
Right, they're down in
again,
double digits. They used
yeah,
to be
all
triple
over the
digits.
country in the
Yep.
urban community, violence collectively is up. And we
Yep.
know that COVID is playing a part, people being locked in. There's so many contributing factors and causes to the increase in violence, the increase in suicides, the use of drugs. You
Yes,
know, a
sir.
lot is happening psychologically with humanity dealing with this COVID or this pandemic, this indignation that's contributing to the high level of violence that we are seeing being perpetrated in our communities and in our neighborhoods. So I just pray that we can continue to do more. We can work while it is day, for the night is
The
coming
night
when
is
no
soon to
man or
come.
No
woman can
man
work.
shall work.
And
Yeah.
as
That's
we
right.
walk through the
Night is
valley of
soon
the
to
shadow of
come.
death, we shall fear no evil. So we just
Yes,
got to
yes.
continue to work at a fever pitch to beat the devil to the door.
That's
We got
right.
to continue to communicate, because what kind of community can we have without communication? Because the root word of community is common. So unity is based on what we have in common, and we got to stop letting these artificial barriers cause us to do things that will cause mothers and sisters to grieve. And we just have to be better toward one another. So I pray that those who are listening to this platform will take heed
Yes,
to
sir.
what we're saying and
Please.
understand our sincerity, hear our passion and our concern. And we pray that, you know, we can begin to really continue to stem the tide of this violence that's devastating our young men and our young women and our community in general. So
And let's look at the prison system. The prison system has caused such a disconnect between our young males and our older males. Our brothers that have done time for 10 and 15 and 20 years, their children don't know them. Their children and their friends don't have a clue about them, a clue of who used to run the streets back in the day. And so what happens is the mother has been left to raise them by herself. And we have to find a way to get back in every household and help them mothers regain order in that household.
yes, sir, we got to close the gap, sever the ties and those disconnects. But I'm happy you talked about that, Brother Ali, the mass incarceration of young black men in this country and women. We see Joe Biden just rolled out a litany or plethora of executive orders that he signed, one dealing with private prisons. There was a lot of confusion in regards to the executive order that he signed relative to the private prisons. A lot of people say he closed the private prisons. Hurrah, he closed the private prisons, but you had a lot of activists online that brought clarity to exactly what that executive order meant. Now, I heard Al Sharpton, Reverend Al Sharpton, saying that, you know, the executive orders that Joe Biden has signed, he said it's a deposit. It's definitely not paying it in full. And I kind of disagree. I don't even think it's a deposit, because a lot of times them executive orders not worth the paper they're written on. We really need legislation, he was saying, to really enact and implement a lot of these aggressive policies that the Biden-Harris administration are attempting to pursue. So we can't start, you know, doing the dance and we haven't even gotten in the end zone yet. Because historically, we've seen other presidents come in and sign executive orders as it relates to black people and quote unquote civil rights. Franklin Delano Roosevelt came in, signed some executive orders. John F. Kennedy came in, signed some executive orders as it relates to quote unquote civil rights. And black people were dancing in the street. And we thought that the New Deal was really a new deal. But as we parsed and looked through what was done, it really was the old deal. So we can't be hoodwinked and deceived by good language. We really got to look at what's being given to us, what's being said, sift through it, scrutinize it, and make sure that we won't get the short end of the stick as we have always gotten. So, Reverend Roundtree, Brother Ali, any thoughts on that? These executive orders that were signed by Joe Biden as it relates to the private prisons,
Well, just with the
racial
private
equity.
prison, all he did was said the federal government would not participate in it any longer. That has nothing to do with state government, has nothing to do with local government. All he said, the federal government
That's right.
would not participate in private prisons, sending individuals to the private prison. He didn't say the private prisons were going to shut
Won't
down
exist.
and
Exactly.
won't exist. All he said, the federal government won't be sending their federal prisoners to it. But the states, the racism throughout the country, the states can still do what they want to do, which makes it even worse. Because
That's
if you
right.
say when you don't have your hand in something, then it's hard for you to
They
have.
can do what they want to do.
It's hard for you to keep guidelines over it.
That's right. They do what they
Anything
want.
on that, Reverend Roundtree?
I ditto what Dr. Ali has stated, that without the participation or the federal government's hands on it, or any accountability for what's being done, then they will just have free reign statewide throughout the states to set their own legislation and do what they choose to do, which is not really in the best interest of the people.
Now, what do you think about these executive orders on racial equity? Brother Ed, you there? I mean, there's been a lot of credit given to Biden and the Harris administration as it relates to taking this step, signing the executive order on racial equity. Again, I think it's nothing specific in there for Black folks, because it's dealing with Asians Americans, Native Americans. It's dealing with a whole litany and plethora of different ethnic groups. It's nothing in there specific for Black people per se. To me, it seems like more of the same trickle down. Well, you'll get this along with others. So it's nothing specific like what was given to the immigrants, quote unquote, and so many other ethnic groups. We've seen what's happening with what he did with the ban on the transgender being able to go into the military, the LGBTQ. We know that that's his priority, giving them. I seen a tweet. I haven't authenticated it yet, Brother Ed, but I seen a tweet allegedly that he said that, transgenders' rights is really like one of the primary issues of our time. And I'm not saying it's not, but I think sometimes when Black people begin to ask, okay, what are you going to specifically do for us? You get a lot of tap dancing, you get a lot of ducking, dodging, a lot of circumventing the question, as if to say you're going to do something specifically for Black people, not people of color, because there's a whole group that could come under that language. But no, Black people in America, what are you going to do specifically for us? You get a lot of tap dancing, a lot of beating around the bush. So, what are your thoughts on that? The executive order on racial equity. And granted, we need it all. I'm not saying that we are not going to benefit from some of these things that are being enacted, but
where's ours at? Is what
that's
you're saying.
That's kind of what Black America is asking. Where is, we know Ice Cube had the plan for Black America, where he was trying to get equity, equality, specifically for Black people. And we've seen how he was criticized, he was berated. I mean, some Black people were offended. They said, man, we don't see women in there. And Ice Cube said, if it's for Black America, it's for all Black people, men and women. So we saw the level of criticism that he was, being faced with his plan. But now we see Joe Biden in his office, Harris is in office, and a lot of people are saying, well, it's only the first couple of days, give them some time. Hell, we can't wait. Justice and freedom can't wait. I heard Malcolm say one time, if a man is on a hot stove, the stove is hot. So no progress is gonna be fast enough. He need it now. He gonna be complaining because he on a hot stove. And that's what it is with Black America. So I think sometimes they don't understand our level of urgency when we are making demands and we are petitioning for the things that we are petitioning for. because we know our condition is deplorable economically, socially, health-wise. You know, it's we are at the bottom of the totem pole. So I think sometimes when Black people are making these demands, they feel like, well, hell, we gave you this, we gave you that. But if you put it in comparison to our level of sacrifice and service for this country, it don't compare. So I think that they have to be more aggressive and they have to do more as it relates to doing those things that will benefit Black people exclusively, because it was the Black man and woman's vote exclusively that catapulted Joe Biden into the White House. He said it. Those in his cabinet said it. His victory speech, he said, Black America, you have always had my back. I'm going to have your back. Well, what does that look like?
So I think you're right, Brother Hawk, when you talk about there needs to be something that is ID specifically for Black people. And in regards to the executive orders, you're right. I mean, what we recognize about executive orders, we recognize that the next president can come in and he can simply write another executive order that cancel that executive order, because that's exactly what Joe Biden is doing now. He's just writing executive orders to cancel out Trump's executive orders.
Right.
So you're right about that, and I think that that what Melanie Campbell said this week in the Washington Post, she said she was going to give him a week, maybe two. Melanie Campbell from the the Black Women's Round Table. And she said that you know, she was looking to see exactly what was going to be ID specifically for Black people, right? And the problem is that as you reminded me, Joe Biden told a group of civil rights activists that you know, they couldn't make him do anything, and that basically he was going to do what he wanted to do. And you told me that I haven't seen the video yet, Brother Hawk, but you told me he was basically belittling those brothers and sisters.
Well, have anybody else heard the leaked audio, Brother Ali, Reverend
Yeah,
Brown? I heard the leaked audio of Joe Biden talking to those prominent civil rights leaders. Al Sharpton was there. I came out maybe about a month ago.
I heard about it. I didn't actually hear the video, but I heard the feedback from the video. And you know what happened is, like always, when it's our leaders, so-called leaders, then you get this little hood mentality. Well, he won't talking to me. No, he was talking to all of y'all.
That's exactly what I heard too. I heard that Reverend Sharpton said that they weren't talking to him. He said they were talking to the rest of them, but Sharpton said he wasn't talking to him. But wasn't he part of it? Wasn't he part of the meeting?
He was there. If you were in that room where he said whatever he said, he was talking to you. If you didn't get up and dismiss yourself from the room, then you were part of the problem. And see, that's what happens when we get that little attitude where he won't talking to me. He talking to those that are employed by him. I'm independent. Nothing against Reverend Al, but that's what it sounds like. And that's what we got going on in the streets. For many individuals saying, when we come out and saying, you need this, you need that, first thing they say, you ain't talking to me.
Yeah,
everybody sitting up on the same hot stove.
Exactly.
Need to get
I'm
off.
not a part of that. What I do is independent from what you do. So this doesn't apply to me. What you're saying.
Well, Brother Ed, you got to hear it. I mean, the whole tone.
I'm looking at it now.
The tone of, you know.
Can you play it, Roundtree?
His tone, his language, it was very condescending. He just, this is what I'm not going to do. It's very condescending.
It says inside.
I'm Ryan. We ready to go? Hello. On Tuesday, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on a private Zoom call.
Who was in the presentation?
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
You can't hear it good though.
Clearly, somebody did record, and now I have a copy of it. You're listening to it. Present for the Zoom was Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP. Benita Gupta, a former ACLU attorney.
Can you hear it now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that the short one, Roundtree, or the whole
This is
audio?
the 17 minutes.
You got to go to the one. It's a short one when he specifically when he gets into his passion about what he's not going to do and he gets my executive order.
Can't hear you.
Kind of long.
It also included a few Biden-esque boasts. I'm the first person, black or white, who called attention to the fact that you were finding that there was the rate of people who are African Americans who are dying was 3 times that of white people. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Anybody you know. It's the Biden cringe. By 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics.
Oh, stop that, right? You hear that? Hey, you guys.
Wait, let me stop it.
Old Joe. Sound like the old Joe to me.
See? But and you guys, and listen, the whole tone is very condescending.
Yes.
Who you talking to?
I did more than anybody you know. You don't know nobody when you don't know me.
See? And that's what I'm saying. Our freedom and our
My
justice
God.
can't wait. It can't wait. And again, it's not like we asking for something unreasonable. Our vote put you into office.
That's
And
right.
not only did I vote, but Clyburn, who they call the
Yes.
kingmaker, the godfather of the Democratic Party, he said it himself that Joe Biden chances was all but done. It was dead. And he came and revived
And gave
Joe
him life.
Biden's chances of being nominated and ultimately helping to catapult him to victory. We know what Stacey Abrams did in Georgia and so many other black men and women down south to turn them states blue. So the evidence is empirical that it was black people's vote that put Joe Biden in the office. So yes, you do owe us something, brother. We ain't even gonna talk about the 400 years.
That's
We
yeah.
just gonna talk
Yeah.
about you being elected as the president of the United States of America. Black folks did that. So for you now to act bashful, like you not gonna do something. They asked Kamala Harris on an interview at the Griot. They said, do you support reparations? And she basically said, well, anything that's good for black people is good for everybody else, but I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something specifically for black people. Why can't you say that?
Why can't you?
We'll say that for the immigrant, and I'm saying everybody needs what they need. But the black man and woman is always getting the short end of the stick. So I'm saying, Brother Ed, you know, Reverend Roundtree, Pastor Ali, that I think that we got to be aggressive and we got to be assertive, and we can't let those Negro whisperers who are only around Joe Biden for a job. I'm not discrediting anybody, and I believe that everybody he picked are qualified. We have great, brilliant black men and women in politics. But
Yes.
if they're only trying to ingratiate themselves next to Biden because they want a job, but they're not going to fight for our freedom, liberation, and equality, then we don't need them. We don't need people that just want to be with the president to take photo ops. We need people that's going to be aggressively working on our behalf. Matter of fact, I'm happy I mentioned that, Brother Ed. I don't know, Reverend Roundtree passed out. If you've seen an article that came out on the 25th in Politico.com, and it said black women decry leadership ceiling in Congress. And it said when Democratic Representative Brenda Lawrence lost her leadership race by a single vote, she looked up the last time a black woman was elected to sit at her party's leadership table in the House. She was stunned to learn it was Representative Shirley Chisholm of New York 44 years ago. In the same year, the U.S. elected its first black woman to serve as vice president. The House Democratic Caucus once again elected a leadership team that didn't include a single black woman.
And we've got some strong young sisters
That's right.
up in the caucus.
So
Lori
again,
Bush coming out of Missouri, who knocked off one of them old guard Negroes.
Yeah.
Right? Our little sister Ayanna Presley, up there in Boston, right? We got some strong young voices that need to be brought forward. And we
So
need
that's
to
what
be
I'm saying,
apologetic about that.
Brother Zaid. We can't now. We see Kamala Harris has ascended to the second highest office in the land, but yet this article, the House Democratic Caucus, once again elected a leadership team that didn't include a single black woman. So how much progress are we making?
They
Because
trying
no
to
one
hold
person
on.
can rise above the condition of their people.
They trying to put new wine in old wine skins.
That's what they're trying to do.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work. And she's right.
Not gonna work.
She said, I cannot comprehend how for 40 years, a black woman has never earned the collective majority vote of our caucus. You hear the word key, our caucus. Is it really our caucus? Because if it was our caucus, then it would be inclusive. And out of all the strong African-American women, as Brother Zaid and Brother Muhammad and Pastor Ali is speaking of, this would not be a discussion we'd be having right now.
But you know what? I want to go back to the fact that nobody responded when Joe Biden was belittling them, right? As though they were.
Oh, you're talking about in the meeting?
Yeah, in that meeting, that not one of them black men and women stood up to say, "Wait a minute, we are not your children."
Mm-hmm.
Right? When he was, but had that been a black man talking to him like that,
oh, they were interrupting him every chance they got.
I
what you
guarantee
mean?
it would have been a cussing match,
You want
right? You know, at that very moment, if a black man had given them that kind of tongue lashing, right? You know, yeah, just coming with that. Listen, you Ali and Roundtree and Hack, y'all know as leaders when y'all trying to give direction sometime to your members, if it comes out the wrong way, you see their face turn sideways.
Right?
Yeah,
Never
they turn
mind
sideways.
conversations. You say the wrong thing to somebody in the community. That's why you have to watch what you say, how you say it,
Right.
and how you present it. You have to
Right.
really think before you open your mouth, and you got to know the people you're talking to.
Right.
Now, apparently, he knew them and knew that it was going to roll the way he did. But me and Ali and Brother Hawk know that there's certain people we have to know our audience, and when we speak to our audience, so that we don't have those issues that you're talking about, we have to use a tone that's going to be effective for that particular. We can't say the same thing to the guys hanging on the corner as we say to the young girls hanging in the church. Message might be the same, but the tone has to be delivered. It has to be delivered differently.
Let me ask.
He knew his audience, and he knew who he was talking to. And because he was the president of the United States of America, or about to be, rather, you didn't hear none of what you were looking for in a response to what he was saying from those civil rights leaders.
But I think he's forgetting his place, right? Because if we go back to what Hawk said, it is us who put him in that position.
He
right?
didn't forget. He knows.
And what about the book, The Devil You Know? Now, what happened when the brother talked about in Mississippi? How did Mississippi go from being the most powerful state to the poorest state on the planet Earth in the United States?
Right. And so you got to think about we're
you talking about the book by Charles Blow?
Yeah. Everybody go back down south and take over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you something, Ali. What's interesting about that is that about 10 years ago, Amiri had come to the show one night, and he told us, and at that time, Raz was on the council, and what he said he said, look, he said, if y'all really wanna become revolutionary, he said, y'all got to focus on the 27 states where Black people populate. Right, and he said the majority of those states are in the South. He said if y'all take over the local government, take over the governors, he said you can change the lives of Black people in this country. And the last night he reminded us of that. He was in Newark at a rally when those white kids come to Newark talking about the 1%, and he pointed towards City Hall and he told all of us. He said, and at that time, Cory Booker was the mayor. He said, when y'all take over City Hall and make potential pay their taxes, he said, now y'all becoming revolutionary. And so when Charles Blow talks about, certain states in the South and Black people populate back to those states, and then begin to take over. He's right about that. But you know damn well all black folk ain't going back south.
No.
That ain't gonna happen.
Not all of them.
There's some niggas so far from that if you told them we can go back and get our land and get us a mule and start planting our own food and doing all that, them black folk would say, man, I ain't giving up my Mercedes.
Well, look, hey, bro, Ed. Well, Ed, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we want every black man and woman that had a freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master's children and establish a land of their own. They asked Marcus Garvey, do you want to take all black people back to Africa? He said, no. He said, because the ones that are no good here, they'll be no good in Africa.
No good there. Come
So
on.
we ain't trying to take everybody. They asked the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, all your people are not going to go with you. He said, well, those that don't go with me, they belong to you.
That's right.
So, listen, we ain't mad that everybody not going to want to go. Hell, we don't want everybody. Because some of us are so white-minded that it's like when, after we were released from slavery, you know, they had these colonization society, and you had Liberia in Africa. But what happened was, when many black people went to Liberia, we had never been reformed or refined or educated. So we took the white man's mentality with us to Liberia. So we were treating one another there like he was treating us here. So there needs to be more reclamation, transformation, self-development. There needs to be a rigorous process. You understand? A quarantine, not just physical quarantine, but social, spiritual, moral quarantine from the ways that we have become accustomed to by living in this white man's world and passing through the gauntlet of white supremacy. So hell, Brother Ed, if everybody don't want to go, that's fine. Hell, they'll want to come when this white man keep putting his size 12s in their behind and shooting them down. They don't want to come in.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I can't even listen to that audio, Brother Ali. I'm embarrassed for them. You know what I mean? And the reason I say
Did
that
you listen to the whole thing, Brother Ed?
No, I haven't even listened to it.
He listened
So
to
what
it
I
yet.
just played was the first you heard?
First time I heard it, and I'm telling you, like, here's what I'm saying. I can't even listen to it because I know them brothers, right?
No.
I know them, and I know I've been in some meetings with some of them, and I know them ain't the kind of brothers to be bowing down like that.
Yeah.
In terms of how we talk to one another, and for them to allow this man to talk to them like that, I mean, it's embarrassing. And I see what Brother Kafeli says that you know he knows that he must have known his audience. I get that, right? But why would you give somebody that level of comfort in your life to talk to you like that?
That's what we do.
You give your own brother and sister that kind
That's
of comfort to do that. I mean, you pull out your knife quick and fast to cut their throat.
You know why? You know why, Brother Ed? Brother Ed, they were down there begging and not demanding.
Come on now. You know what? I didn't want to say it, and I don't
they
know
were
because
down
I
there
wasn't in
begging.
the room.
What you gonna give me? What you gonna give me? They were
I wasn't
begging
in the room.
and
I
not
wasn't in the
demanding.
room. I wasn't in the
And that's
room.
why
And I haven't heard the
someone
whole
call him
speech.
Uncle Joe now.
Listen,
Uncle Joe.
I wasn't in the room, and I ain't gonna mess with you.
Uncle Joe, what you gonna give me? What you gonna give me? He said, that's why he said to them, you don't know nobody that has done for you what I have done.
Just think about
y'all don't know
he said
no
that.
one.
Brother, listen, he even said in that
he said for democracy.
He said he talked about how it was him. He said because the words of presidents matter, nobody else. He said it was him that brought, you know, the attention to Charlottesville. It was him. I mean, this is what the man was saying. But Brother Ed, you said, how could these big grown hawks let that man talk to them like that? You remember the lesson, Brother Ed? He put fear in us when we were babies.
Yeah.
And we drank the milk of fear from our mother's breast. And it's been passed down generationally. And that's how he have always ruled us, with fear, with tyranny, with berating us, belittling us, never allowing us to stand up as men. So he always have to show us who's boss. So I don't care what position that black men in this country hold. He has a Cronus complex. Even if you are in a position higher than him, he's still gonna talk to you like you work for him and not him working for you. Look how they talked to our President Obama. They gave that man no respect, him or his wife.
No, none whatsoever. Monkeys.
They call his wife monkey. Look, but this is
nooses around necks and
all kind of racist tropes and things that they were doing to our former president. But again, if we allow ourselves to remain in this subservient position, it's not his fault. He only doing what he was made to do. It's our fault
for letting them do it.
What did Maya Angelou say? Maya Angelou said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. They made some decisions, and I mean, can it become more clearer than that? They might not. They were able to control going and not going, and they were also able to speak and not be reduced. But well, that quote says it all with Maya Angelou.
And look, matter of fact, I want you to, if you can continue to play it, Reverend Roundtree, because, and I want you to hear this, Brother Ed, because
let me go back.
He mentioned what you said in there about the executive order. He said, I can't just by executive order. He was talking about assault rifles. And he was, I don't want to misquote it, but he was basically saying what you said, Brother Ed. Like, I don't want to set this precedent because the next person could come and undo. He basically said that. So now for us to be clicking our heels in Haran because he signed a bunch of executive orders that ain't worth the paper they really written on, we need, again, legislation. Right. And this is what Reverend Al Sharpton was saying on his show a few days ago. He said, I think it's just a deposit. And I'm saying, I disagree totally. It's not no deposit. It's just some executive orders he signed. It's an intention to do something, but nothing has been done yet.
Right.
So do you want me to go back to the deconstructed one or go to the actual?
No, go back to the deconstructed one because I need Ed to get some key parts in there.
Okay.
The one you just playing, Reverend Round.
I'm going back because I got the whole one too, but let me go back here. Okay.
Everybody else has done this part. Okay, number one. Number two, I mean when I say it.
There was also a airing of, if not grievances, at least slight disappointments, and a forum for civil rights leaders to lobby about everything from personnel to executive action to legislation. Many of those in the meeting urged Biden to be aggressive in his use of executive power.
I want to ask if you consider issuing an executive order to create a national task force to examine challenges to our democracy, a national voter access commission. It's going to be important, for example, that one of your first actions is the reversal of the executive order that President Trump promulgated that essentially seeks to gag conversations about diversity, race, and history among anyone.
So these are the actual people.
And so we would ask you to lend your voice and your strength and your influence and your power and your ability to reach across the aisle to try and pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. But failing that, we would ask you to pull from that act measures that can be enacted by executive order. You have the power to call for a national database on police misconduct. You have the power to ask for a registry that will allow people to easily search in public multiple misconduct complaints against particular offices. You have the ability to impose a database around these killings and police shootings. And these are things that
I'm going to send this to you, Brother Ed.
It's a prison tragedy that because of COVID. I encourage you to use your power to order an investigation of state and local prisons and jails to find out precisely what is happening. And you have that power through the Department of Justice.
And here's Al Sharpton.
We don't care about throwing fists in the air and the symbols. We want the substance. The Joe Biden I know is substance. The Kamala Harris I know is substance. We need it now more than ever. And I would hope that on the first day you start doing the things with your executive orders to restore some dignity to law enforcement in our community and to voting.
Biden, in fact, has an enormous amount of power as president. 2 episodes ago, we devoted an entire show to just that. Turns out that Biden does not appear to be a deconstructed subscriber. Here's how he responded to those calls.
There's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what you said. Indeed, you probably used to get angry with me during the debate when you'd have some of the people you were supporting say, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am
Listen
not
to this man.
violate the Constitution. There is a Constitution. It's our only hope. Our only hope. And the way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy's done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do away with that. No one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I guess everybody can own machine guns again. So we got to be careful. I know you all know this. I know you know it. And poor Carlos heard me say this, and so has Cedric. I used to have a friend named Bob Gold, who was a really bright guy. Not much of it. We went to school together. He wasn't that funny.
Y'all still listening?
Yeah.
The upshot of the anecdote is that he taught Biden the word overstand, which is a kind of black power term from back in the day that was used as a stand-in for understand, but adding in an element of higher level awareness.
You looked at me and said, Joe, I not only understand you, I overstand. I'm
Overstand.
I also heard from the NAACP's Johnson, whose organization, among many others, had been pushing to have Representative Marcia Fudge named as Agriculture Secretary. The Biden camp had been leaning toward picking Tom Vilsack, who had also served as Obama's Secretary of Agriculture. Johnson let him know it would be a disastrous idea.
I would like to caution you in terms of the opportunity to get people, good people, confirmed in the Senate.
Can you pause that, Reverend Roundtree?
Yes, sir.
Now, who did he pick for his Secretary of Agriculture?
Something that could be
Hold on. Hold on. I'll tell you in a minute.
He picked Tom Vilsack.
Yes. I'm trying to.
He picked who he wanted to.
Hold on. I got two playing. Okay, I apologize.
So who did he pick for the Secretary of Agriculture?
You just called his name.
You just called his name.
You just called his name.
We got
Tom Vilsack.
He made the sister Secretary of Housing, and okay, that's a stereotypical. Always put us there. He made the brother the Secretary of Defense, General George Austin. He had some very qualified sisters. He could have made the Attorney General, but he didn't do that. So again, it's politics. This is politics.
Is it politics or politics?
Well, listen, it's all that and then some.
Don't leave it all out, right, Ali?
So
that's it. Smoke a cigar and drink some cognac.
They were talking about him making possibly, is this correct? The sister Simone Sanders making her the press secretary, is that right?
Right.
But he made the white woman the press secretary. Sister Simone Sanders is very qualified.
Yes.
Right.
So again, this is the games in the. Again, I'm telling you, I'm asking everybody in the listening audience to please go study Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yes.
Because this is, to me, what we seeing with Joe Biden is mirroring that. Because black folks were very happy. He had the Roosevelt Blacks cabinet, but it was a lot of game playing. They used Sister Shirley Chisholm, a lot of photo ops. And we were thinking that he was progressive, he was advancing us, but the history records that a lot of those things he did, we did not benefit from them like those European immigrants and Caucasians benefited from them. The Social Security Act and all of these other things that he did, these executive orders that he signed, the fair housing, a lot of those things, the Caucasians benefited from that more than we did. But it looked like we were advancing under his administration because he had all of these black people that he hired.
That's right.
We can't be We can't be fooled by some black faces that he got sprinkled around him. Say, oh man, see, Biden is, man, he progressive. No, we gotta really search him out. And we gotta hold accountable all of those brothers and sisters that he have around him. Brother and sister, a job is not good enough. We don't need the first black this, the first black that. Listen, we don't need black people who are going to be the managers of white realities.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
we need some
good.
we need some brothers and sisters. Listen, Minister Farrakhan said that most black politicians, not all,
I'm
he
sorry.
said they're like.
I'm sorry, brother. I gotta ask you to go back because that need to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, that did.
What you say about white reality?
The white
Minister
folks
was on Larry King. He said, I'm tired of the game plan. We don't need black people who are just going to be the managers of white realities. Then he said, most black politicians are like mannequins in the window of democracy. He said, because they are put there to sell black folks the idea that this system really works for them. So you see a Kamala Harris, oh my goodness. You see the sister Secretary of Housing. You see Sister Simone Sanders. You see the brother that he made, what's the brother name? The brother Environmental Protection Agency. You see brother Lloyd Austin. And I'm not saying that these brothers and sisters are not qualified, but we know that in politics,
don't get stuck there.
Yeah, it's a lot of times it's a game. You put brothers and sisters in position, but you don't really give them the power to exercise that which the positions say they can exercise. So we can't be fooled by a few token positions. No, not this time, Joe Biden. We on you. I'm sorry.
And that goes.
And Sister Kamala, please. Now, Brother Ed, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. When we was on the plantation, the slave master used to use us as body servants. And a body servant was just that. A body servant was one who used their body to serve the master. So if he was too feeble and old, we brushed his teeth. If the bed was too cold, he used us as bed warmers. I mean, it was so bad that sometimes when these individuals was in this, they were fighting wars, we was there serving them. So, Sister Kamala, please don't be a modern day body servant for him.
My God.
Don't stand in between us demanding from him what's owed to us, and you gonna now be his defense attorney. See, don't do that, sister.
My God, my
Stand
God.
up.
Brother Hawk, you killing it right now, brother.
You're killing it.
I'm still trying to breathe with the
the realities.
Managers of the reality. I'm like,
No. Because brother.
Hey, Ali.
Had a young man on it.
Hey, Ali Roundtree. I think that'll preach itself.
It will preach itself. But let me say this. I want to go back to,
you know what I mean?
Minister Abdul.
Hey, Ali, if I'm the next, Roundtree, if I'm the next minister, I'd have to give him $100 right now.
You better come on, throw it on the line.
Yeah, brother.
Right on his desk, here, brother.
See on that one. I got the show on that, brother. Listen, man.
Minister Abdul, who did you say quoted that?
Who is that?
The quote that you just did.
That was the Minister Farrakhan. He said that, I'm tired of black people, being managers of white realities.
There you go.
And that's,
we got it this time. White people being
and that's kind of what it has always been. And that's why, we have so many great illuminaries. Dr. King, Francis Cress Welsing, Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington said that politics alone cannot make a man free.
Yes, sir.
On the back of the ballot, he must have property, industry, skill, intelligence, and character.
Yes.
So there's many other components that we need. It's not just going to be politics alone. It's something that we got to do. But I'm saying that it has been pronounced by Joe Biden that it was Black America that had his back, really, when he didn't deserve it.
That's right.
This man didn't look for that draconian 1994 crime bill. Now, maybe y'all can correct me. Has he come out and apologize and ask for forgiveness?
No.
No.
Hell, even Pope John asked for forgiveness for slavery for what the Catholic Church did. So this man has not even come out and asked Black America, I'm sorry. I know I was very instrumental in constructing that crime bill. Please forgive me. Atonement, somebody got to point out the wrong, and then somebody got to seek forgiveness. The man didn't even ask for forgiveness, but we repent. Yeah, we acting like the man, is the second coming of Jesus here. And I'm saying that he has to be held accountable. That's what I'm saying. And we can't be afraid to put pressure on him. Right. Now, I heard Steve Harvey talking on WBLS. Did you hear him, Brother Ed?
No.
Roger? He said, we need a man in the White House that sounds like he's concerned. That sound. Steve.
Not just sound. We want him to be. Not just sound. We
don't need a man. We need a man that sounds like he can. No. We need a man who do more than sound, but we need him to be what he say he is.
Who is?
Be the president.
Brother, listen, I'm telling you right now, I'm giving Joe Biden hell.
I think that's why Ali, I think that's why Black people could never go in a room like that and have somebody like a Minister Farrakhan in that room, because he would embarrass the hell out of all of them, right?
Yeah.
Because all of them brothers in there with titles and positions, right? And as the leader would say, with letters in front of their names and everything. And you would have this man belittle y'all as though, everything I've done for y'all don't have the right to come in here and ask me for nothing. I know what's best for you, right? I know y'all need to be partnering with the Hispanic community. Y'all don't know that, but I'm gonna tell y'all need to go do that. I mean, that's absolutely outrageous, man. And then when you hear one of the brothers who was part of the group who was advertising they would have the civil rights community was having this meeting, then all of a sudden, he says, well, yeah, I was in that meeting, but he wasn't talking to me. Okay, but you agree with him talking to all your other brothers and sisters like that? Hell,
you should have spoke up on their behalf.
Exactly. If he wasn't talking to you, you should have taken an attitude for them too. You should have said, well, look, man, that ain't cool for you to talk to them like that. You may not talk to me, but that ain't cool for you to talk to them like that.
And Brother Ed, I want to say this. Brothers and sisters of the civil rights community, the Black Caucus, we don't need you all trying to be Joe Biden's defense attorney. No, because already I've been watching Reverend Al Sharpton, and I love my brother. But I hear him say, I think, he brother, we don't need you being Joe Biden's defense attorney. See, we don't need Black folks trying to defend Joe Biden's record and what he's doing. Let his record defend itself. If he says that he's going to have a progressive and aggressive agenda as it relates to creating equity and opportunities for Black people, then he needs to show and prove. And it has now come out. I mean, Newsweek, they asking, can Biden do what Obama didn't? See, can Biden and many civil rights leaders have been saying, like, yeah, we can't fall asleep again. We can't let what happened under Obama happen under Biden. So Black people have admitted that we fell asleep under Obama. We was walking around our American flags hanging off from the car. You thought you can throw Louis Farrakhan away. We don't need that no more. We got a Black man in office. And less was done for us under our own kith and kin. So I'm just saying we can't be bamboozled again by the Democratic Party. That's what I'm saying. We got to hold them accountable. And we got to put their feet to the fire. And we can't be tiptoeing through the tulips and acting passive. Do you know that the Hispanics was out the next day after he won, all petitioning, making demands on Joe Biden? The next day they was in the streets.
Yeah, you're right. You
See,
absolutely right.
but we sitting back, we dancing in the street, we twerking, we dancing. Brother, no. We doing twerk on Washington videos. Listen, I'm not gonna let no silly Negro or she-grow make me back down on this point. Joe Biden, you wanted our vote and you got it, but now you're gonna have to do what you say.
Bottom line.
That's it. That's it. And listen, please don't, because another thing that white folks do, whenever a strong black man is coming out and making demands on them, what they'll do, they'll take another black person and stand in between the gap and say, you get him. No. Stand down, Simone Sanders. No, stand down. You let him come out and answer for himself. We don't need you all. We don't need him to send out the black brother or sister to talk for him. Let him talk on his own behalf.
That's right, Yvonne. Accountability.
Yeah, let him talk on his own. We don't need you to send out the strong sister or the brother to come out and quail us down and say, I know what Biden said. Don't send Al Sharpton to talk to us. You come talk to us.
Listen, man. Listen, this period is over, but I gotta tell y'all, man, this is the conversation that we want to be having, right? While Biden is the president, we want to be having this real conversation because ain't none of us gonna bow down and bend over and let nobody ride us, brother.
You got that right.
Well,
too
Brother
old.
Ed,
I'm too
Minister
old.
Farrakhan said everybody got a price.
Yeah. Well, brother.
I hope we ain't got one, brother.
Well, brother, when I see you with the new Cadillac, I'm gonna come check you. You know what I mean?
Well, I put it to you this way: the scriptures say the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. The righteous can go and take it.
That's
You
right.
You got to take the goat's milk to feed the sheep.
That's right.
Yes,
So
sir.
the problem is they take the goat's milk and don't feed nobody but themselves.
Yes,
well,
sir.
listen, man. Hey, Ali, you got any final statements? Because we out of time. We got the next.
Man. I'm gonna get out the way. I'm just asking continued prayers for my wife and continued prayers for just our community as a whole, and everybody that's been the family of Carl Dawson III and the little child and Natasha's family and all the coalitions that have come together. Keep us in your prayers. We need it.
Well, listen, man. I want you to know, Ali, and I want your wife to know that God is still in the miracle business, brother. He's still performing miracles, right?
That's right.
And no one is a better healing than he is, right?
You got that right.
So we speak into existence that she is healed, brother, just like you.
Ooh, we touch and agree.
We
believe
that's
it,
brother. We agree, right? The scripture tells us wherever 2 or 3 of us are gathered together,
He's in the midst.
He's in the midst, right? And so we agree. I don't care. Hey, Ali, I don't care what it looks like. I'm telling you she's healed, brother.
All right.
All right.
Glory.
Brown Tree, you got any final words? Anything you want to say before we move on?
I missed that. Who's healed?
Melina.
Sister Ali.
Oh, that was already established before. Oh, yeah, that was already established, right,
Well,
Doctor?
we continue to establish it.
That was established, and we're gonna stand on it. We're gonna believe on it because the word says, by your stripes we are healed. And as the first lady of this generation always said, she said when he knocked on her door, he knocked on the wrong door. When he came
looking for the wrong girl.
Right. Everybody don't have that type of faith and that type of strength. Some people give in, and that doesn't mean every now and then she might not have a second. But I guarantee you, it won't be a whole day. It won't be a whole hour. Because she coming right for it, like, all right, back up. When her hit the floor, she got the 1, 2, and she got something for it. That don't mean. Look, the Bible says that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. It didn't say they wouldn't be formed. It did not. There's no way that say that the weapons won't be formed, but it said they won't prosper. So just like we have spoken, it says Newark versus COVID, the win is up to us. The truth of the matter is the win.
I think you froze.
Y'all still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
I forgot to put Matter of fact, First Lady Ali told me put do not disturb when I'm on my phone. And I didn't do it this time. She told me that some time ago when I started saying people were calling. She's like, hit the do not disturb. So that, anyway, I just want to say that because we pray for this young lady. We have a 9:30
every night.
every single night with the North Interfaith Alliance. And March 17th, it will be a year. We've been doing this 7 days a week. And we lift her name up. We lift up anyone, but that's our sister. And we know what Pastor Ali means to the people. And we know that his helpmate has to be covered. He does his part. She does her part. Their ministry does their part. But while we praying for all that, Brother Ed, we still praying for peace in our streets. And we, again, are praying for the minds of these individuals who have no clue. If we don't get to these minds, as Pastor Ali, Minister Abdul Haq has spoke to the clergy and the faith-based community, telling them, listen, we've got to keep, repetition is the mother of learning. We got to keep on. We got to keep on. We got to keep on saying it. In the Bible, Joshua was told, be of good courage, be strong and courageous. And God says, just as I was with you, Moses, I'm with you. So we know that God is with us. We just got to keep going, keep pushing, keep pressing, and not give up, not become discouraged, because we know the poor is going to always be with us and violence is always going to be with us. But we have to make sure that we do what we need to do on our part to make sure we make the positive difference we want to see. And Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad, you better go ahead with your bad self, teaching and speaking truth to power without being afraid. You are not scared. Baba Zaid, you're not scared. Ali wasn't scared when he was out there with those bullhorns with our honorable mayor blocking traffic at 280. Come on here.
Yeah. Well,
We did
listen.
it
Go ahead, Brother Haq. You got any final words, man? We've got our other guests in the background we need to pull on.
Oh,
Well, I just want to say thank you, Brother Ed, Pastor Ali, Reverend Roundtree,
thank you, sir.
DJ Rhino, everybody. Thank you. I just want to leave on this note. Dr. King said that I've almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro great stumbling block in our stride toward freedom is not the white citizens council or the Ku Klux Klan, but it's the white moderate who's more devoted to order than to justice. So I know that Trump is now out of the White House, but hell, Marcus Garvey said potentially every white man is a Ku Klux Klanman. As far as being in competition with the Negroes politically, socially, and economically is concerned. So I pray that we don't fall asleep at the wheel.
Yes,
I pray
sir.
that Allah, God, Jesus, whatever name you call him, will heal us and protect us from anxiety and grief, and that he will continue to be our source of strength and refuge in this perilous time. So thank you, Brother Ed. Thank you, everybody.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Thank
God
All
bless.
right,
Amen.
so-
Peace. Thank you, Brother Ed. Number
Yes,
one, hip hop.
I'll see y'all later.
Love
All
you
right,
guys.
so well, listen,
All right.
we want to thank the disciples for coming on and, of course, doing their show, and you know they killed it as usual. So we're about to move on into our next segment. You know we're late getting started, but we want to say thank you to the disciples, and you know they get ready to pass the baton from one heater to the next heater. You know it's all fire, right? You know, and that's what happened with Black people who clearly got their game together and who are on the ground. So Zaid, I'm gonna throw it to you so you can introduce everybody, and then you know let's pick it up, man, and you know let's have this dialogue and let's inform our community because that's what we do here on All Politics Are Local, America's number one Black political hip hop radio talk show. All right,
All right,
so you, brother.
all right, okay. Well, listen, that's what a way to segue into this session, right? We talked about our sisters and brothers from the disciples got the African Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
Wow, in this new situation, right? And my little brother dropped the mic, blew up the mic several times, right? And I think he was dead on point that we do not need no Negro overseers for white supremacy. You know,
That's real
that's
talk.
my language.
That's real talk.
We do not need that, and that we need folks willing to make and be the difference. It's gonna mean making some folks feel uncomfortable. It's gonna mean moving some folks the hell out of the way. That's what it's gonna mean.
Right.
You know, it's gonna be me replacing people that need to be replaced and moving on people that need to be moved on. That's what power is. You know, we ain't just fighting for justice, we fight for power. power to determine our own destiny. So I want to shout them out. But just as important is how it ended on a healing premise, right? Because in all of this, we have to heal. All of this, we have to take care of ourselves. All of this, we have to wrap each other around. We wrap ourselves around each other with the energy and the prayers of healing. So these young warriors that I'm about to introduce are both steeped in that, and I'm proud of that. And I'm saying that also to prepare for who's coming behind them, right? So we have our daughter Dawn Hayes, who was the sterling, fiery young voice for the emerging Brick City Collective, treasurer of the mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, and on our board of education, right? And we have one of our favorite young sons, Sharif Ahmed Hotep, local field marshal for the New Black Panther Party, also one of the founders of the mighty Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. And for the longest time, he's so beloved for his passion. We call him the soul of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. And they're so important because of what they did. They were on the ground immediately when we were brought the horrible news of the shooting that took place on January 1st, a horrible way to bring in the new year with the killing of this young man, Carl Dorsey III. I was trying to tell Ed to stay on him because I know Ed has a connection with the family too, and I wanted him to have a chance to engage us a little bit with his prayerful energy. But he missed it. We can always do that again. No. Pastor Ali.
Oh, Pastor Ali.
Pastor Ali. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, he has a connect that he mentioned last week. So I wanted that to be acknowledged and brought into the circle, right? Donna, she didn't log in yet. Donna's here. Okay, she's already. I wanted to. Oh, there she is. I want to make sure that she was on before I brought her in. So January 1st, young man gets killed by the police. Right? They call them the jump out boys on the streets. That's what our kids call these police. Even though the Newark Police is undergoing a very important reform effort, even though there have been some serious inroads made with that reform effort, right? Even though the complexion and the age and the orientation of newer officers are going under a new direction and whatnot, it appears, and this is one of the things that I think this particular incident sharpens for us in terms of where we have to go with this work, is that the troops within the Newark Police Force that have the most latitude and are supposed to have the most expertise are the ones that appear to be the least governable and the least responsive to these efforts. Because not only was this young man killed by a veteran plainclothes policeman, but this particular officer has a history that we know that can be documented at least back some 10 years at the very least, so that's a point of challenge that we need to look at as we try and move forward with this. So the young man's name is Carl Dorsey, over on South 11th and Woodland, just off Springfield Ave. Jump out boys roll on him. He doesn't know what's going on and winds up getting shot down in the street. Now, the narrative matters. They say, and this is the police union, it's trying to dictate the narrative. Be clear what I'm talking about. They said that their officers were driving upon a gunfire that was already in progress with their lives on the line. Eyewitnesses said there was no gunfire in process. There was some activity on the block, but that happened hours before. They were not responding to that. They rolled up on this young man and maybe several other young men. We have to look at it further. But this particular young man got rolled up and didn't know who the hell was rolling up on him, and just trying to get away from him, and he winds up losing his life. And because we just started to rally that community and went so far as to shut Springfield Avenue down. Yeah, we did. Without apology. Because we shut Springfield Avenue down and got the kind of responsiveness and attention through local media that's starting to pay attention to the issue the way they ought to at last, thankfully, right? The Attorney General had to preliminarily release that though there was no weapon found on this young man, right? And there's even a backstory that needs further investigation, that there was a second young man that was arrested, and he has lawyered up, and his lawyer is saying that he had no weapon on him either, that the weapon was planted on him by these undercovers. And undercovers can get down like that. That's a part of how dirty ones get down. So there's a whole lot that needs to come out. I'm trying to contextualize this way because protest matters, narrative matters, right? And being unapologetic matters. And community organizers, if you're not on the ground, you're not the organizers you need to be. And when you see folks who are on the ground doing the work, you need to cover down on them. I don't care where you at in the issue or how you feel about it. If you see young folks stepping out, doing what they're supposed to do in the community to make the difference, you're supposed to cover down on them and make sure that they're not out there being left out there, that you represent the community having their backs. With that, then, I want to bring in Dawn Haynes and Sharif Ahmed Hotep and let them tell their story about the work that they did on the ground that was so important. Dawn, why don't you go ahead, go first, Dawn. I was like Sharif is trying to get herself together on the sound.
And Dawn, as you come in, I just wanted to say I heard, I seen a breaking post that Mayor Baraka did with yet another incident you had. I know that you guys' work are cut out for you, and thank you guys for the work that you do. So on yet the heels of one thing, you already have another thing. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Donna. I appreciate the acknowledgement. Thank you, Baba Zaid, for the introduction, and thank you guys for allowing me to be in this space with you to just discuss some of the things that we're dealing with in our city. This situation with Carl Dorsey, like this work that we do, it's one of those thankless works. So not too often do we get thank you. So when you get it, it's kind of humbling, like, thank you. I appreciate the thank you. But for Carl, like, I didn't know this young man personally, but to me, I want for myself what I want for my brothers and sisters. So that baby that was shot, that's one of my babies. That brother that was shot, that was one of my brothers. And to know that we're in a time and space in the city of Newark where we have not only the voices that we need at the table, but we have those that are willing to put in this action as well. Like I'm grateful that we're given examples in generations before us on how to do it. People say like protesting is not useful. Yes, it is. That's a strategy in this whole freedom fight because we're still fighting for our freedoms and our equities in this community. Just knowing how this young man was murdered is so disheartening because we know the context that the police put out. And Sharif, you can elaborate on that even further. Like the context that they put out just had it like, oh, well, he deserved it. And in reality, when you just did a little bit of scratching on the surface, it was just a whole lot of lies and just tarnishing this young man's lifestyle, his reputation. There was no gunshots. There was no muzzles of the flare. They didn't have a reason to pull up on them the way that they did. And the trauma that we've experienced as African Americans in our community with whether it's stick up boys or the jump out boys, same ammo. They're jumping out of their cars with their guns drawn, and that causes automatic trauma and triggering effects to us. So for us to be able to have that platform to speak out against it and know that the people that's a part of that community was willing to do everything that was asked of them to do, to make statements to the Attorney General, to actually speak out about how they feel, to get in contact with their family and to cover down for one another. It's like we don't have a reason to sit back and allow anybody to mistreat us where we have to live. This is our home, and we set the precedence on what we want our home to be like. Now, that dude who shot that baby, I don't care who he was. He needs to either turn himself in, or there needs to be a whole group of black men looking for him to make him turn himself in and take the long road to the precinct.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. And Dawn, early on, I also acknowledged the fact that baby and that young man with that baby was our own Natasha Allen's family. And we sent out some healing and some prayerful energy to Tasha and their family to help deal with this particular trying time. So
Yeah,
you're right on point.
but-
And you know, we just got word of another shooting that just took place on 18th Avenue.
But Zaid,
Go ahead, Ed. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what Sister Dawn just laid out, right? That has to be put in the community that under no circumstances
Right.
are we gonna allow any damn body to shoot children, bro. Right?
That's right.
We don't
Or
care.
women.
We don't give a damn about your street code. We don't give a damn about you being the jump out boys, the stick up boys, right? You're gonna be the ass kick boy.
4 years old.
Right?
That's
because
right.
because there's no way you're gonna be shooting our children, right?
4
And I don't
years
care
old.
who you are.
That's
and,
right.
and that message needs to be put in the street real clear, right? By all these brothers who want to walk around and say they revolutionaries,
All these bad
they
dudes.
Black Panthers, they Muslim. The message in the street need to go clear. Because
That's
I can
right.
tell you, a brother Sterling was here, the brother who helped rebuild the Nation of Islam. Those brothers would be hanging somewhere in a basement right now, brother. Right, for shooting children. That's not allowed, brother. That hitting, messing with our women and our children. That there's a code you just don't break.
And you know, Ed, I just have to say, just feeling some type of way about street justice, and it's amazing that you say that, because right now playing out in the news in New York, there was what we had seen a couple of weeks ago about a group of people beating up a person, but what came to light today was a couple of the persons turned themselves in, but the reason they were beating the person up is because he robbed somebody with a gun at gunpoint, and then they seen him on the street. So I was like, and the pastor came out, was like, listen, the pastor that walked the young man in, he was like, listen, he's here, but this was retaliation and it was street justice. And I was like, wow, you know, just to see that on the news today, I was like, so we should see how that plays out as this case unfolds. And this in New York, the young man just turned himself again, but at the end of the day, it was street justice.
That's one of the young men who attacked that sister in the Bronx?
No. This was a young man was coming from Atlanta. A guy robbed him on the bus, and then they seen him, and then like the street, and then it was like, yo, they're gonna do that rob me, and everybody just jumped in. So it just he just turned himself in today. So in that, it's just going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, it's a vigilante act, but it's still quote unquote street justice.
And I mean, when we're talking about the whole holding each other accountable, the same accountability we want for the police department, we should want for ourselves, right? Like, shouldn't be so far-fetched that the person who shot this baby just don't get the consequences that come along with it. And we know how unjust our justice system is. So at the end of the day, there needs to be a lesson learned. There's no code in our streets at all. It's like my generation is afraid or don't see the importance of reaching back to the generation that's in these streets now. We have the age group of, I want to say, 24 to about 12 that really, really needs us in a different way. That I know the Brick City Peace Collective is trying to find in innovative ways of dealing with it with our diversionary program, but really digging in deep on how do we redirect our children, at least get them code and ethics. You want to be a warrior? Okay. We have organizations that can train you, teach you, mold you, give you knowledge of self. And I'm not going to touch on knowledge of self because that's my brother's lane. So I'm going to leave that one for him. But if we put our people in an organizational thought process, like, no, we can redirect a lot of what's going on. Everybody ain't going to be saved, but we have to do more of trying to save those that can be. And I don't see where it's becoming embraced. Like, it's embraced for us to try to change the conditions that we're in. We went around there today in the community where that young brother and his baby was shot at, and you just feel like the heaviness in that area. And it's like, what more can we do besides support that family? My sister Natasha, that's the vice president of the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, that hit close to home. Like, it's one thing for us to fight for people that we don't necessarily know, but it's a whole nother when it's our family. And I want us to understand, like, this fight is not something that is taken lightly or taken unsincerely. The comments I'm sorry, I got distracted by the comment.
The comments that you're looking at, and then they're going to be joining us in a few minutes, are coming from the Dorsey family. And then Mr. Medina Person says the Dorsey family appreciates all that you guys are doing, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We're going to hear from them in just a few minutes. So let's look forward to that. Sharif, jump on in here and give us the 411 on what you've been doing on the street.
Black Power, how's my sound?
Black Power, all power to the people. That's right. Come on.
Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir. Man, I mean, sometimes, we get a loss for words to explain, what we face with and what we go through as Black people. But I always look at its history to be our guide. That there's nothing new in terms of our struggle in America. I mean, we must never forget how we were brought here. We are captured people, and we were brought here under the most dehumanizing conditions ever inflicted upon the people, and our sojourn in America continues. So when we say, Black Lives Matter, and we are pleading to the mercy of white folks, we first have to make that a reality for ourselves. We have to value who we are, because it's clear that the white man and the white race will never value Black life. It's still written in their constitutions. It's still written in their laws. We must understand that every law that's written in the penal code is broken by the white man to establish that state. So for the family of Carl Dorsey, we send our deepest condolences to him. And understanding that this just wasn't a tragedy. This was a tragedy and a crime, a tragic crime that our people are undergoing for decades. The police kill us with immunity because the law protects them. Because hell, what more evidence than you ever get, from a homicide or murder than we do from the police part? It's overwhelming evidence. In the Eric Garner, it shows that, they can choke us out on video, so, and nothing happens. They can shoot us on Facebook Live like they did Philando Castile, and still nothing happened. No justice comes out of it, because we must understand the devil that we're dealing with. The white man is the devil. The laws are set up and designed to what? To enforce the 13th Amendment. That's it. To convict us, to incarcerate us, to continue the enslavement of our people. So when we are protesting and we're marching, which is good, which is a weapon that we must use, to seek the battles or the fights that we need to fight. But we have to take it another step further. Like, we have to realize that Black people, we are all we got. We can't depend on no one else.
That's right.
We can't depend on anyone else for liberation.
Did we just lose it?
Yeah. So
it's trying to just its volume.
Oh yeah, Sharif, you seen that everybody was saying that you were low. But if we can hear you, but we really want to hear you. So if you can use quote unquote, and I'll say Sister Dawn understand your teacher voice, so you could just talk a little louder, because people are saying that you are speaking low and they want to hear what you have to say. But it's interesting that you say it's up loud. Okay, so we're just gonna sit back and listen. But it's interesting that you say that, we lost Cicely Tyson yesterday, and I was watching an interview of her, and she gave a story where she was being interviewed, and how a man had said something to her, and it hit her that, and it was a journalist that was interviewing her, and he made a statement to her, and what she realized at that moment is that he did not even consider us Black people as human beings, and it made her that much more purposeful. So what you're saying is very true. So we need to be mindful, and it's unfortunate. It just goes back to that conversation that perhaps all of us have one day. We got to do better, work harder. It's really unfortunate, but but knowing that is probably half the battle as we move in our life.
But Sheree, let's take it back to the streets. Tell us what you encountered on the streets. This shooting goes down. You in the field. You and Dawn in the field. What did you encounter? What did the people say actually happened? You know, who came forward? Who did you help? What went down? And where we going next?
Is Sharif still on?
Did we lose him?
I'm here.
I know when we went out there. Well, I came after Sharif had already did his field analysis, and talking to all of the brothers that was out there. One of the brothers that they said they arrested, that he said that the Attorney General's office is who took him to question him, and they let him go that night. Like, he wasn't arrested for any charges. So if that's what they were saying was arrested, that didn't happen that way. And the way that they explained it, and you can see it in the video, Mr. Dorsey was going in the same direction as the empty space in the lot. So there's a parking lot next to the abandoned complex on that block. And there's a center block that stopped the cars from being able to shoot through 10th onto 11th. And he said that some of the guys from out of it went over to that side to tell the car that they couldn't come all the way through. Again, this is New Year's morning, so this is right after everyone was, celebrating bringing in the New Year. And he said when the car pulled up, Carl was already walking in the direction of where all the rest of the brothers that was out there was at. And when the police officer jumped out, it was no exchange of words. It wasn't no conflict. He might have thought that the person who was in that vehicle who jumped out with their guns drawn could have been the people that the police are saying that they were looking for or going after, because of they hearing that the detectors of the gunshots going off. So there's a confliction in the police's story heavily, and not for nothing, those brothers that's out there, like, they handle their area. Like, it's not too many times we have to go there to do interventions or community conversations. They pretty much hold their own in that area. Besides, it's a whole abandoned complex there. So when Sharif was there at first, and he can elaborate on that, but just knowing that the brothers that was out there was really not just concerned, because all of that not telling what's going on, was willing to say what they encountered. One of the gentlemen literally watched his brother get shot, and he landed on his car, and he was sitting in his car. So for the police to just, arbitrarily lie like that, they're not helping with this relationship that we're trying to build to have a stronger community. You have a job to do, true indeed. However, your job don't include being unprofessional, disrespectful, harassing people, and killing people. Like, that's not a part of your job description. So, Sharif, you can definitely go ahead and jump on in, please.
Is he there? Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead, Sharif.
Yeah, so, like, I have no faith in the criminal injustice myself. Crackers and criminals.
You coming in more faint again.
Yeah. So y'all can't hear me?
No, you're coming in worse than you were before.
Just amplify your voice.
They probably cut my sound. It's still low?
No, we can hear you. You're low. So just amplify your voice.
Because just like speaking on TV, I don't like speak in public. All this technology stuff is
all right, go ahead. We'll just try to.
I don't know how to yell regular.
Don't know how to yell. That ain't what you were doing yesterday.
For the yeah, that's different. It's on the phone.
He did the whole damn rally by himself. But, come on, son.
Yeah, so what I'm stressing to our family that we have to organize in our communities, right? We have to organize to the point where we begin to patrol and police our communities as we see this is what we are doing. This is where the steps we're moving forward towards, because the police is clearly are not there to serve and protect us. They're not going to serve and protect us, especially the North Police. I mean, all over the country, the police are killing us at an extremely alarming rate, and they've been doing it for centuries. We must never forget how police agencies was founded upon the Fugitive Slave Act, and it's no different. What we seeing and what we witnessing today, when we see these police killings and shootings, they're like the new modern day public shooting.
He just went. We just lost his sound.
And today, you know, it's not that they just started it. They said they just started doing it film. They just started recording it being done because it's been happening and it's still happening all over the country. You know, but they just they're recording the things, the incidents that happen. This is why the people had to wait till they see some type of video. So we already went out there. We spoke with the community, and the community told us what happened, and we rallied the community. But still, the community didn't become alarmed until a video was released. And we got to stop depending to see everything on video. Some of these things we're not going to capture on video. You know what I'm saying? We got to be able to be active as in the community and trust within our own people. You know what I mean? That, you know, we got to protect ourselves and protect our own community. You know, like these people, man, these policing agencies, no matter how many reforms that you make, as long as the way that the laws are set up the way that they are, as long as the Constitution is still the Constitution, as long as it's written and amended in the Constitution that Black people are 3/5 of human, and you have seen one politician, any person have yet to challenge the 3/5 clause in the Constitution. We have seen not one politician or one law professor, one lawyer, whoever they are, even challenge the Dred Scott case. That still haven't been overturned. That still haven't been so-called pardoned. Dred Scott haven't been pardoned. You know what I'm saying? So when he brought his case up, his case still exists. So as long as the Dred Scott case still exists, as long as the 3/5 clause still exists in the Constitution, we can never expect to get justice in a white man court. As long
You just went silent again. He just lost his volume.
yes, and people keep calling my phone. Oh, that's right. Calling my phone like they're crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's actually what happens, Sharif. When somebody calls in, it lowers your volume. So
I don't know why they calling. They ain't been calling.
Because they need you, brother.
Yeah, they're probably excited about seeing you.
They ain't called me all day. Now everybody want to call. We try to build with the people, you know, and explain a few things.
But I want you to get at this though, Sharif. I mean, that we're with you on what you're saying, and right, all of that. But I want folks to appreciate what you actually did on the ground and what people told you on the ground and how that became the basis for us taking it to the next stage on the ground, because that has instructive value for folks who we're trying to teach this to.
Yeah, so, you know, the community reached out to us, you know, because, you know, unfortunately, you know, we've been rallying, you know, organizing our community for decades around, you know, police terrorism, brutality, and murder in our community. Like, and when we try to explain to them, you know what I mean? Like, the Newark Police has a long history. We have policemen on the force, such as Thomas Wine, who has a double homicide. This guy has a double homicide plus an attempted murder, and he's the lieutenant on the Newark Police Force right now. His name is Thomas Wine. In fact, he's a lieutenant. He killed Michael Newkirk and he killed Alpha Quan Moore. And he shot Louis Cortez. I forgot his another name. He was attempted murder on him. So he got 2 homicides and 1 attempted murder, and he's still on the Newark Police Force. So when Rob Simpkins know that he got co-workers like Thomas Wine, he feels as though, you know, like he told them back in the lawsuit with the ACLU that we're the police, that you don't have no rights. So he still has this mindset. We have these policemen who are still on the force. So, you know, when the community called, we have to respond. I mean, when this black man, you know, killed, I look at the situation. That could have been me, could have been my brother, my family, right. Anybody. I mean, so we had no choice. And this matter, as the black man in America, you have no choice but to take a stand. You know what I mean?
That's right.
To either stand on your feet or die on your knees.
Yeah, we got the family getting ready to come right behind you. So let me just just wind this up this way and commend you both for what you did and what you've been doing. Right. One of the first demands is that there should have been body cameras on these men, and Mayor Ras Baraka responds with a call for them jokers to body camera their behinds up, right away, right? And what the difference maker with y'all in the streets making that happen? I want that to be clear, right? In our last rally, the great Lawrence Ham said there should be a civil rights investigation to go. That's a parallel federal investigation to go along with this state criminal investigation. And then the next rally that they're doing, Justice Monday, coming up this Monday to mark the 5th anniversary, 5 years of almost every Monday, right? Until we had the little COVID interruption. 5 years of protesting at the federal building around New Jersey police brutality cases. And we have to add Carl Dorsey now to this mix, demanding that they do a federal investigation as to whether or not this young man's civil rights were violated in this particular case. And preliminarily, of course, it looks like they do. So I want to thank you both for what you've been doing on the ground, right? Anything that you need to report into us or at this particular medium and vehicle, we sound the drum here in a very particular, loud and unapologetic way, and we will continue to do that. So y'all stay strong, right? Hold the line, right? And carry on. All right?
And Sharif, thank you. And Sister Dawn, thank you. And Sharice, one of the comments, Sylvia said, put your phone on Do Not Disturb next time you're on, sir. Okay?
I gotta put it on airplane mode.
Oh, you can't do that. You got to put it on Do Not Disturb. You put on airplane mode, you can't log in. So we got to give you Tech 101, sir. All right. Thank you for being here. Nice to meet you. All right, Ted.
All right. Okay. So you're watching and listening to All Politics of Local America's number one hip hop talk radio, based out of Rutgers, Norway. Of course, we're in a virtual space now, and we're expecting the arrival any moment. Are they ready for us, Mike? Are we our guests here? All right. We have we actually have family members of Carl Dorsey. See, one of the things that's very important as we bring them aboard is this: is that 97 out of 100 of these cases, when they're reported, we get the police narrative of what happened, and we get a narrative that includes a distortion or a dehumanization or a criminalization of whoever their victim is or was, and there's never a quote objective. This is the language they use in journalism school, y'all. There's never an objective assessment on just who the person was who was victimized unless we are shutting the entire operation down. If George Floyd wasn't killed in spectacle fashion, you wouldn't know anything about him as a human being. If Breonna Taylor, if Louisville had not gone on fire behind Breonna Taylor, you would not know anything about the humanity of Breonna Taylor. We shut down Springfield Avenue for a reason, because this young man was a human being. And we want justice for this young man as a human being, and we want the police to respect our humanity, our community as human beings. So now we're going to have some family members just tell you just who this young man was, who was Carl Dorsey, and why is it that the community not only loves this young man but is outraged for the injustice that happened to him. Donna, introduce our guest if you may.
My name.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, my girl Medina and Al-Malik are trying to sign on. They said they're not that tech savvy, so you might. There go Al-Malik. All right, I take that back. Okay. And now we got Medina should be joining us shortly. So here with us we have Carl's stepdad, and I hate to say stepdad, it's just dad, because when you stand in the gap and you are raising a child, it's your child. You know. Absolutely. So we have Carl's dad, Al-Malik, and we have his sister Naima, and his sister Medina will be joining us shortly. And we just wanted, as Zaid said, bring you on so that we can hear your perspective and let people know what you have been doing since you received the news, and how things are progressing. We just want to hear it from your mouth and stop letting people tell your story. Malik, you want to start?
Mom.
Malik, you want to start?
I don't know Cool. Is this me starting, Malik? Hello?
Yes, yes,
I can start. Y'all want me to start?
yes.
Oh my goodness, Dad. Yes.
All right, because I'm not hearing any, I'm getting a real bad connection, but I just want to start out by saying that Carl, as the brother said a minute ago, Carl was a human being. He wasn't George Floyd, he wasn't Breonna Taylor, he was Carl Dorsey. Carl Dorsey is a man who has children, who has sisters and brothers, who has a grandmother, who has family who loved him. So that's how we got to look at it. We can't look at this, make him a statistic or make him somebody that we just go on and make noise for. This was somebody who was a real life human being and who was loved. And something I wanted to say that I've been thinking about ever since this thing happened. Naima called me New Year's morning, like 2:30 in the morning, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever. But I'm thinking she called me to say, hey, Dad, Happy New Year. And she called me and say, Dad, they killed my brother. You know, that ain't the kind of call nobody want to get. Dad, they killed my brother. Right away, I'm thinking maybe these dudes on the street, you know. No, the cops killed my brother. You know, and I want people to think about that, man. The same way that cop went home that night. His family expected him to come home that night. The same way Carl's family expected him to come home that night. At the end of his shift, they expected him to come home. The cop, and we expected Carl to come home, and it didn't happen. So we need to take a look at that.
All right. Well, thank you, Naima.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything that you wanted to say? I know, I'll tell you, I know I woke up on New Year's Day and just going through the pages, and I remember seeing Malik's post, and I think your post said something, the cop shot my son. It might have been that, you know, I was like, what? You know, and it might have been, and remember picking up the phone, calling, because I think the news was rolling out, and then when something hits, and then it's that personable, it's like, you never want it to be yours, and it should never be your own. And as Malik said, it's just not the news you want to hear ever, but especially, you know, that's not the call that he was hoping to receive. Naima?
Yes. Right before he had passed away, he had a birthday on December 24th. Just turned 39. You know what I mean? I tried to call him, he didn't respond. And then a couple of days later, I get a phone call from my grandmother stating that your brother passed away. I'm just like, no. Like, you know, I'm thinking she's calling me, like she said, Happy New Year, but that wasn't New Year that I got. And when she called and said that the cop shot, I'm just like, well, what happened? And then I had heard all these different stories, how, you know, the cop feared his life, which was bull crap. Because my brother don't carry no gun, don't use no gun. So they betrayed him as a bad person from the jump. And then on top of that, he was unarmed, and it was just injustice, unfair, and not right whatsoever. And I will be the voice of my brother from here on out.
So I know that one of the things that the community, take your time, the community actually came out, and they have been very vocal and supportive and let you know exactly what happened that night. And that's thankful that somebody's eyes was on and somebody else can give their accountability of what actually happened that night. We know that you guys had the funeral, and now there's a video out that shows exactly what happened. That's kind of dismantling the police officer's story. So is there any other updates that we need to know about?
No, not from my standpoint. I'm just Googling everything as well as you guys are, you know, waiting to hear, you know, the right story and not all these lies pertaining to my brother's murder. He wasn't just shot, he was murdered by a cop.
He was murdered. And so let us step back and let's tell about, because Malik, you said in the beginning, Carl was a father, he was a brother. I think you and I have talked, and you was telling me that he was really a great dad. So just tell us about him and his kids, and just tell us a little bit about him coming up and, you know.
Look, I ain't going to try to sugarcoat anything. Everybody got their issues, and, you know, Carl did, I did. Yeah, some of us on this panel did, but we got to be real about, you know, the situation. When you leave out your house in the day, in the morning, at night, whenever, your family expects you to come back. It ain't nobody's responsibility to take your life and make sure you don't go back to your family. Paul was a great dude, man. He took care of his kids. He went through his issue, got out and got a good job. And, you know, he deserved the same respect everybody else deserved. Nobody deserved to be shot in the street, not by a gang member, not by another dude, and not by the police. And that's what I'm going to keep on saying. That's what I'm going to stick to. If his last name was Baraka, or if his last name was what this cop's last name was, look how big a deal they would have made it. If that cop was flipped around, say if that cop went out on his shift that night and he got shot, he got killed, what kind of drama would we have in Newark or Essex County in that area? Oh, we have a cop killer, blah, blah, blah. We need to get him. $100,000 reward, et cetera, et cetera. Carl Dorsey deserves the same. He's a man just like that was a man. He deserved to come home to his family at night, and he didn't because some joker, cop or no cop, some joker decided to take his life. And that's wrong. I mean, his kids deserve to have a father, just like that officer's kids deserve to have a father. Just like everybody else, excuse me, deserve to have a father. So for somebody to be that reckless, and I heard the comment the brother said, and I read it the other day about this officer telling somebody about we the police, we do what we want or something to that nature. That's part of the problem. He probably jumped out his car with that mindset, we the police, I can shoot one of these dudes, ain't nothing gonna happen. But we're not gonna let that happen. Something's gonna happen. Carl Dorsey will get justice, and we're gonna make sure of that. And I appreciate those people that's out there, you know, doing their thing, because not trying to send a message out to a couple of brothers the other day about keeping us in the loop, the family in the loop. But it's important that, you know, we stay in the loop and know what's going on so we can be a part of the situation. And that's pretty much what I have.
Naeem, I know, and what Malik you just referred to was a quote where it speaks to a previous case in this officer and a statement he had made in that previous case where there was an accusation of violence in that previous case, and that was what he said in that case that was being investigated. So that's what you were speaking to, Zaid?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So actually referring to is this is back in 2010 or 12.
Yes, sir.
The Justice Department, the ACLU put together a documented petition of some 96 pages that included a number of important allegations that were under investigated, and I'm trying to be polite with this for professional reasons, about the Newark police that went to the Justice Department to usher the Justice Department coming in to Newark to oversee a police reform effort, right? And then they put Cory Booker's behind on blast, and he had to back up and really just let that happen. But on page 56, I'm giving it to you, chapter and verse, this particular officer was in a stop that involved them pulling over a football coach, a local football coach, and two of his players. And they pulled the guns out on him and said, "We're the police. You have no effing civil rights. You know, we do what we want." Right? It's a matter of record. So if they were doing that back then, and there's no evidence that their behavior has been checked since then that says a lot about what happened that we saw on videotape.
Yes, sir.
Happened and why it happened that way and who was actually doing what they did on that day. So it's important. So history matters. History matters. I should let folks also know that this has another background because 20 years ago, the Attorney General's office was supposed to put a database together on the use of force by police officers for the whole state. They never did it. Just several years ago, the Ledger did, through this now called the Jersey Advanced Media, they did, and they have a database where you can go in and if you got the officer's name, you can find his stuff, right? And then 9 out of 10 times when we see cases of police brutality, there is usually a pattern of abuse with the perpetrating officers. So that is one of the factors that definitely has to be a point of investigation in this particular case. So I just wanted to acknowledge that motion because that led also to us being in a different place with how this investigation is taking place. Previous years, County prosecutors, do nothing when it comes to investigating the police, right? There's a new attorney general who says he's on a reform mission, and we came up with an independent prosecutors bill that puts the ball in his lap whenever there is a police killing of a civilian anywhere in the state of New Jersey. He has to now deal with it to take that thing to another level. So that's the protest background and the history background of where all of this is playing out now. So I wanted everybody to be clear on that. Was Medina able to come in?
But while you're talking about is that I just there is a special investigation that the new Attorney General has that has been called for a special investigation, correct?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The bill came down in 2018. Right, there was a police killing in Patterson 2 years ago. I say the bill ought to be called the Jameek Mallory bill, because this is the young brother who was killed in Patterson seeking help from the police, and they beat this young brother to death and literally beat him beyond recognition, literally broke his face in several places, right? We had the bill passed in the state assembly. We had the bill passed in the state senate. Phil Murphy was afraid to sign the bill, but because we got hot in the streets of Patterson and got hot in the streets of Newark, he had to sign the bill. And since then, we've had at least 4 police-involved shootings that the Attorney General has had to deal with. This is the one that has gotten the most motion, because this is the one that has gotten the most fire and the most protest from the people. So the question of protest, the question of being heard, the question of eyewitnesses coming forward and making sure that their testimony is properly being taken, all of that matters, right? And that's the playing field in which we're in now. I just wanted that to be clear for everybody involved and everybody listening.
And Naima, as we transition to you, I just wanted everybody to know on Facebook and YouTube that we're having a couple of problems in the background and the studio on the streaming yard, not the Facebook platform. So everybody that's on Facebook can stay here. Robin is like, I'll log off. Robin, stay on, and Shanice, stay on. So the problem's not on Facebook, it's at our back. We're trying to work some problems out. But Naima, go ahead. Did you have some more to say?
No, I just wanted to also thank Sister Dawn. Is his name Zayed? Am I saying his name correctly? And Donna Kay and Sharif for really being there and trying to work out the justice of my brother. I really appreciate all of them. Because people don't even know my brother is actually trying to fight for justice as well, and I commend that to the utmost. And I thank you guys for that.
And that's what community looks like, and we're supposed to do that. And that's what family looks like. So we have to continue. And if there's, I know we're also a part of People's Organization for Progress, and I know that I don't know, Malik, you had an opportunity to talk to Chairman Ham, but you and I, but he was specifically, concerned that you guys are getting that the needed attention so that things can move forward and you can get the answers that you need. So people are concerned, people are standing in the gap. And if you need anything, just continue to reach out.
And as Donna mentioned, People's Organization for Progress, you should have mentioned that Monday is Justice Monday, the 5-year anniversary of Justice Monday. Justice Monday is a weekly protest against police brutality that spotlights New Jersey's police killing, right? And then we've got our own share in New Jersey. You ain't got to go to Minneapolis and Chicago and Cleveland to protest police brutality. We got enough right here in New Jersey to deal with, right? And this particular Monday will be spotlighted by the People's Organization for Progress, asking the U.S. Attorney for this area to do a federal civil rights investigation into the killing of Carl Dorsey, right? Yes, sir. So just as we're trying to do this on the state level and putting the New Jersey Attorney General on blast and making sure he does the right thing, and we're gonna put him on blast if he doesn't, right?
Absolutely.
It's taking it to another step on the federal side, right? That the feds come in, right? There's no more Trump. We don't want to hear no excuses out of these Biden people either, right? So that we're trying to cover all the bases. And let me say this also: I'm talking to some some other legal commissions. This going on this week, there is an international tribunal about racialized police violence in the United States that is reporting to the United Nations, right? And I'm trying to get into another round of that because all of the cases that are being heard are being heard in other places, not in New Jersey. We got enough in New Jersey. I'm trying to get them to encourage that and to bring our human rights forces into this too, because that's Malcolm's line. That's also another level to this whole thing that puts the whole system on blast for this mistreatment of our people. I see our daughter.
Yeah, Medina, you just joined in, so go ahead. I know you had some things you wanted to say. Go ahead, baby.
Well, first I wanted to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I know I kind of last minute sent a bunch of sporadic text messages out for thank you for everybody who was able to hop on. Not really sure where to start. I know my family in general, a lot of us were just honestly waiting for a platform like this, trying to wait for somebody to ask us, what was going on or how we feel or just anything like this. Of course, once the news starts getting a hold of things, you start seeing articles where they will mention that, they've tried to reach out to the family. The tries were unsuccessful, whatever the case may be. As far as I know of, they haven't tried to reach out to our side of the family or people who actually may want to actually talk to anybody, but that's neither here nor there. Like I said, I'm not really sure where to start here, but
why don't you tell us about what we do not know about Carl that the media is not telling us about Carl? Just tell us about Carl.
Oh, well.
What do you want us to know about Carl Dorsey, baby? Huh?
Okay. Well, I want you guys to know that he was a number one. I'm sorry.
It's absolutely understandable, and that is absolutely natural and normal. That's all right.
My brother was a number one protector of everyone in our family. And I'm his baby sister. There was nothing that I couldn't, if I ever had to stop his day for him to help me out in any way, he was always there for me. And my brother and my sister, he was the same way as a cousin, as a nephew, and any other capacity that he held in our family. He was funny. Of course, he had his, he's rough around the edges, but still always funny. Just like he was an all-around family man. I don't know really how to, when I was talking to Donna earlier, she was asking me for a picture to put up here tonight, I believe, and I had to tell her, I'm like, I don't have too many pictures of him without his kids, because all the pictures I have, he's always with his kids. That's the number one thing that should be out there about him, period, is that my brother was always with his kids. He was always about his kids and taking care of his kids, and he was always about family. My nieces and my nephews, they're gonna miss him. They're gonna grow up and he's leaving a lot of people behind who didn't unfortunately get the chance to know him.
That's okay, Medina. And one of the things we're going to continue, Zaid's going to use that picture so that the media can know the picture of you, Naima and Carl, so that from as he does press, that people so he can humanize who Carl Dorsey is. But Malik, you said something that all of us on this platform, everybody has a story, and particularly Malik, you and I, we have had the chance to live, make mistakes, grow up, and be here today. And that's something that Carl will not have the opportunity to do. And it's my hope that people understand that a young man is just that. It's a young man. They're growing, and whatever your perception is. And we have to understand that. I know Sharif said earlier that this whole thing of police protecting and serve is not what they go out here to do, but we have to hold them accountable. And as Dawn said earlier, that, you know, there's a goal that they're doing some things to change the dynamics in the streets of Newark, and the police have to participate in that, and they can't get out the cars or whatever and just have this perception of what somebody is. We have to realize and look at people and talk to them right where they are, and that's their job to do. And we shouldn't expect anything less. That we have to know how to reach people, de-escalate, so that everybody can go home and to have a story for another day.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, daughter. Go ahead.
I was just gonna bounce off of what Donna was just talking about, like with the word de-escalate. It just made me think about one of the very first things that even crossed my mind after finding out that what happened to my brother was about, like, the very first article that even came out about everything was the very short, choppy, crappy version of whatever Newark police wanted to put out at the time, which of course tried to make my brother out to be the bad person and tried to make it seem like again, like someone else had brought up in the beginning, or when we started tuning into the show, just trying to make him to be the bad person and trying to act like he deserved it almost, which nobody deserves any of what's going on here. The article started to point towards trying to put a limelight around Newark's de-escalation program and how you know, the whole 2020 went by and they didn't shoot and kill anybody. There were no fatal shootings from the Newark Police Department, and all I could think of was, okay, so that's great for the de-escalation program, but the clock hit midnight and the first person that y'all decided to kill is my brother. Like, why did my brother have to be, you know, the trigger happy, the end of the trigger happy, the end of somebody's barrel? For like we couldn't wait. Like the clock just hit midnight and boom, okay, so 2020 is over, and the first person that had to go was from my family, was my brother.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let her go out of here.
Go ahead. I think that's Naima. Naima, are you saying something?
No, I was telling my sister she's absolutely right. You know, that guy just shot to kill my brother without even thinking. Didn't even know his name, what he looked like. He just turned around, just shot one shot, and took his whole life. It's unfair.
And here's what should have happened. And it's not rocket science. See, the thing that is the piece that makes this even more infuriating is that these are the police officers that are supposed to have the most training, right? Why couldn't they simply go upon the scene on a community policing paradigm and ask the community, we got calls about something going on. What are y'all seeing? What are y'all hearing? What's going on? Right. And that's all that could have been, and that could have been handled in a matter of minutes. Right. They may have even gotten some information that they needed, and no one would have gotten killed, right? But because there is a history that was not addressed with these particular officers and this particular class of officers, I must say, you know, the opposite happened. And then because it's on us now to keep it on blast to make sure that they do not do that again.
Right. Medina, you were saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, like, that's another thing that ran through my mind. Like, you cannot, and I remember telling my father this, like, you can't, that can't happen. Like, you can't just show up to a place having, again, as a policeman, show up and immediately, like, not assess the situation whatsoever, jump out your car and start shooting people just because they're running in your direction or running away from you, or running anywhere. You just can't show up and start shooting, because that could have been Joe Smo coming from work, minding his business and not in the mix of anything, and trying to get back to his house. And, you know, just because he's in the area, you hopped out your car and you shot him because you're not paying attention to what's going on in your surroundings. You can't do that.
Thank you. As we begin to wind down, we want to give you guys the last word. I'm going to start with Naima and go to Medina, and then I'm going to let Malik, you have the last word, or if you want to do it in a different order, you're fine. And, you know, the word should be, again, just come in your own way, but just just let us know what we're not hearing and what people need to know. Naima?
People need to know and understand that my brother was a human being at the end of the day. He was a well-known, respected young man, period. Everybody has a past, everybody has flaws, but at the end of the day, he was still a human being and had no right in any form or fashion to have his life taken the way he did. And he was a well-loved person. At the end of the day, he was our family. He was our brother that didn't deserve to die for any reason, not in the format of the way he did on top of that. And justice will be served, and that's all I have to say. And I love my brother, Carl Dorsey. You will forever live on through all of us. And I will be your voice of reason from here on out.
Medina, you ready, Medina? Medina, you want your dad to go. Malik, you want to go? Yeah. Go ahead, Medina. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
I just want everybody to know again how much my brother was loved and how much we take care of him. And we
Medina, I can't hear you, baby. We can't hear you, baby.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, good.
Okay. I just want everybody to know how much my brother was greatly loved and missed, and we're gonna keep fighting for him until we can really get to the bottom of everything. And I wish that my brother didn't have to be the cause of, again, these new initiatives. I'm glad that, if anything gets done out of this, that'd be a great day. I just wish that my brother didn't have to be the example to cause the change.
Malik? Malik, you're on mute. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, am I back on? Yeah, I want to say that y'all just can all know how I feel to see my two beautiful daughters crying behind this. And that's just a feel how a lot of people feeling throughout this area and throughout this country, that we got to put up with this type of stuff because our family members are being killed at the hands of people who have no right to be killing them. I mean, whether it's police or, like I said, a joke on the street, nobody has the right to take our family members' lives away, and they need to pay the price for it. I ain't talking about putting no bounty on nobody's head, but justice should be served in the right way. It's like I said, the same way if that officer didn't go home that night, his family, the whole police station, police in North, police in Essex County, police throughout the country would have something to say about it. So, we got something to say about this, man. We're going to make sure that justice is served because it's unfair that people are getting killed in the streets like this, by cops or anybody else. And for Medina and Naima, I got y'all. I want to make sure y'all know that, and other people got y'all too. So all together, we're going to make this happen.
Well, thank all of you for your strength.
One last thing. Can I say one last thing? Yeah, this is not, I mean, Donna, you know my background. A lot of people know my history. I've been in the juvenile justice field and adult field in the state of New Jersey for the last 27 years. And I've seen plenty of young men get killed by each other, get killed by police, get killed, etc. And it just got to stop, man. I mean, I think I've buried more people in the last 15 years behind street crime and police killings than my whole life. So I'm trying to say, man, this one really hits home. So for those who haven't experienced it, don't let it hit home. Let's step out there now and put a stop to it. So that's where I'll end with that.
I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you for your courage, for your articulation, your clarity, and your love, right? And your strength, because this kind of thing, I'm gonna tell you, I've been doing this for 40 years. This kind of thing destroys a whole lot of families, right? And y'all was strong. You may not have realized your own strength in the face of this, but I want you to see your own strength and your own resilience and stay involved with these forces that are not just protesting, but we also do other engagements to help communities heal too, because y'all can become a part of the healing forces in our community as well, right? As we wrap up, I want to just add one last wrinkle that's important. Y'all may see on the spread strong civilian review boards now. One of the reasons why we are fighting for that kind of civilian review board, because if we had that in place, that's one of its functions, to review policy and patterns of behavior, right? That would have given the people an arm to raise the question about these officers who have these red flags in their history that need to be pulled, they need to be brought out of the field, because something is going to happen with them, because stuff is already happening with them. So there's another layer to this that is already in the mix. This is an incredible time that we are all living in. If the police can exercise restraint on tens of thousands of people bum rushing the Capitol last week the way they did, damn it, we want them to exercise restraint in our community around our people too. I'm making it plain, right? So I want to thank all of you for your strength. Stay tuned. Remember, everybody, right? Monday, 5 o'clock, the federal building. We'll be raising up the federal question, right? All the voices that chimed in and gave the love. Stay tuned to All Politics Are Local, because this is your drum, right? You're not hearing this on Channel 4 or not, hardly even on CCN or any of them places. This is our drum to get the 411 on what is happening in our community and what we got to do and what we're trying to do. Every Friday, 6 to 9, this is our drum. Sound the drum and let folks know what's going on.
And I just want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you. I know we reached out to you today, and I'm thank you for heeding the call. Medina, what I'm going to say to you is that you already had a calling on your life, and this in the field of law, and this is going to give you more. It's not the purpose that you want to have motivating you, but I'm sure it's going to give you a different purpose and a more of a purpose. So continue to do what you're doing in the field of law, and we're going to continue to look for you to do even greater things. So thank you, Malik, Naima. Again, I just thank you for being here. And Ed, did you want to say the last word?
Well, I think Zaid said it, right? I think that, we want the family to know that they've got a platform that they can come to when no one else is willing to hear their story. I think that they ought to know that they can come here and they can share it uncut and uninterrupted and in the form and passion that they want to share it. And also for them to know that they are amongst family, right? We love them. We are part of the community. We are their brothers and sisters. And of course, I feel like, we lost this brother, but I feel like Brother Dorsey was my brother, right? So I feel like we lost our brother. And so therefore, we're going to stay in the fight with them. And, we're not looking for peace. We're looking for justice, right? So you can't ask us to be peaceful, but don't want to give us justice. No, you got to give us justice. And that's what we're looking for. And so I just want to let them know and echo what Zaid said. This is the drum in our community, particularly in the city of Newark. So y'all want to come and at any time y'all got something y'all want to share, just know that that there's an open invitation for y'all here.
That's our leader talking right on. Love it.
And thank you guys, and we look forward to talking to you soon. And again, just pick up the phone if you need us. We're here. Love you.
Thank you very much. We're proud of you.
All right, peace.
All right, so you're listening to All Politics Are Local, America's number one.
Zaid, you can't do that too often to me, bro.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, man, you're gonna have to cut that out. You my brother, I love you, man. But you can't put me out there like that, brother. I'm gonna need a box of napkins in a minute.
Yeah, that's right on point.
It's time to go to war, man. Because
yes, sir. Yes.
We can't allow these people to come into our community, man, and kill our families. And they get paid to patrol. They don't get paid to kill us, man.
And it gotta be accountable. I never forget. there's a councilwoman here in Orange, Barbara Peters, God rest her soul. And I'll never forget somebody making a comment that maybe the police, act like that because they're scared. Barbara Peters was like, they're not scared to pick up their paycheck. That's what they signed up for. And we need to know, let them know, because a lot of times that, policing is a public service job. And you need to understand that. And when you look at the disparity of, you have officers who do their whole career and possibly never shoot their gun because their weapon is their mouth and how they talk and they de-escalate. And then you have some persons that come on and then they have, I think Sharif named somebody that's a lieutenant now and that had several shootings.
Thomas Wayne.
Yeah, it's just,
He killed Michael Newkirk at Michael Newkirk's picnic. They ran into the picnic and shot the man in the head. Gets promoted and winds up a couple of years later killing Sharif Fuquan Moore. And there's a third incident that I wasn't even aware of that Sharif also cited. And this is what we're talking about, right? We need that. We need when there's certain things that's happening with these officers, these patterns show up, that stuff has to be addressed so the cycle does not continue. We're not just talking about breaking cycles on the street. Wherever there's a problem of violence, we got to break those cycles. If there's a problem with the police and police violence, whatever we got to do to break those cycles, we got to break those cycles. That means some heads need to roll in the police department, let those heads roll all the way down the damn street.
That's right. That's right.
Just like whatever we got to do to make it stop on the streets. If somebody got to disappear, may they disappear for however long they need to disappear so that they're no longer a problem for our people. Straight up. Yeah, I know, Ed. I know what you're talking about. I was trying to back over for a while too.
Yeah, man. I think that when them queens started crying, brother, that you remember when you were a child, man. When your mother started crying, man, there's a whole nother level of warrior spirit that come. And I think I felt them queens and how they felt, man, losing their brother, and it's and for us, Zaid, we losing another soldier. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
That was a young brother who we definitely could have done something with.
Right. So we got to recognize when them brothers fall in the street, we losing soldiers.
And listen, on that same note, now we talked about that 4-year-old child getting hit. The young man who had the child, right? Tasha's cousin, she said this boy was clean as a whistle. He was straight. He was a good community young brother. Why is whoever is doing the shooting at our folks like this?
Yeah, Don says she called them the jump out boys or something like that.
Jump out, that's what they call the police that get down like this squad that just shot this brother. That's what they call them. They call them the jump out boys.
Yeah, well, we got they
Jump
need to
out
get
boys supposed to be the best trained, but they're the ones acting the worst, and they're the ones less committed to the change. That's the point of challenge that we got to deal with right now.
Yeah, we definitely need to deal with that. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna be jumping out on our people and killing them. So we need to deal with that, and and thank God we got a brother who we can go to and get his help and help us deal.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Zaid, I want to say, man, I'm really, tore up behind the fact that we got people shooting at children, man, shooting at our babies, man. That can't be acceptable, man. There's just no way that nobody in the streets, man, should whoever fired that shot should make those people feel extremely uncomfortable right now. And to the point where these folks want to run to the police station and get themselves up, man. So our community should be
over his shoulder every goddamn minute.
That's right. The heat should be so strong on them that they understand that what they did is not acceptable, not to black folks, brother.
And the organized forces on the streets, holler if you hear me, right? To our organized forces on the streets, and y'all out there, y'all know who y'all are, right? Put some heat on this fool. Put some heat on this fool.
And
he ain't repping for nobody like that.
And if y'all too scared, y'all know what all politics are local is. We easy to find.
We
all
right
your,
here. That's
all
right.
your Negroes are on Facebook. All of y'all. So y'all know how to find us. So just come and tell us if you too afraid. You ain't even gotta come with your real name. Just put up a sign and say y'all know where he's at.
You know, I wish you just said, Zaid, about Jump Out Boys, the police. And I can remember growing up, and I wish my cousin Malik was still on here because he would tell a story that, and just thinking, you know, during the crack epidemic and how the police, you know, and that's how the police force were beefed up, I guess you would say. But I remember in Orange, the Jump Out Boys would get out and they would run after you and possibly fight, but people still live to talk about it today. So there is a whole different, you know, and I think DJ Rhino in the background just made a post that a cop that shoots for the fear of his life is not a cop ready for duty. You're a cop. Your life is always in danger. You know, so it's important that de-escalation is how they are trained and they understand, because there's tactical training that teaches you how to observe things and how to respond to those different things that you're observing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What'd you say, Zaid?
And how to engage. You're right. I'm just
How to engage. Yeah, and then how to get home, right? And so it's not, you know, it's this whole thing and all of these shooting, and it's also. It may be even out of laziness that you don't even want to come out here and you don't recognize these people as people that you're serving and that you work for. You know, the dynamics really have to be changed, and it has to be broken down as to what their job is, and they have to understand it. And perhaps, I know one of the things that has been floated is that they need to go back for remedial training. Ed, you're in the law field. The CEU credits that you have ethics training maybe every year, every other year, that there are trainings that police officers need to take and around these areas to be reminded that what your job is to do and how to do it.
Let's take it to another place. You're getting warm, right? But the other place is this. The elephant in the room is race. Let's be real clear about that.
That's right.
It absolutely is race. And I don't care if the badge was a black badge, right? That black badge ain't pulling this stuff out on no white folks like that, right?
Go back, Bazai, go back to that. I just want you to go back to that. What the ACLU found out about the officer and what he said then. We are the police. We can do what we want. Stay right there. That is a frame of mind before it comes out of your mouth.
That's right, right. And that was never meaningfully addressed because he's still there doing this stuff. That's what I'm getting at, right? So the question, and see, people kind of dismissed Mayor Baraka when he came out with an edict that said, if you are found to be racist on the police force, you're out of here. That's not a light matter. This whole thing was built on a racist paradigm, right? And it's forever been racist, and it's forever been a dichotomy in behavior, in practice, and use of force, and all of those things that's built on race, right? So there needs to be retraining. There needs to be anti-racist training that needs to go into these reform paradigms.
In all communities, and you know, Zaid, you're in the acting field, you're in the artist field, and there are dynamic trainings that are going on right now. I know in New York City where they're doing a role play, if you will, where the police is put into the person's position and the person is put, and that's proven to help. And I don't know if the feedback has come full circle yet, but they need to understand, and I think Malik said it fine, you know, just like that cop wanted to get home, they wanted to see Dorsey. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's really it. You know, I mean, everybody wants to go home, right? And everybody's entitled to be treated like a human being, no matter what your race, nationality, religion, or citizen status is of what. We all should be treated with the dignity of human beings, right? If we're not in the commission of a crime, we shouldn't be treated as criminals. Period. Right? If there's an arrest warrant, right, sir, I have a warrant for your arrest.
And guess what? And we know
Right.
they can, and we know they can do it. When it
Yeah.
happened in Charleston, you know, they killed people after a prayer service, killed everybody, majority of the people in that church down at AME Church in South Carolina, took the young man out. He's still living today. Went to get him some food at Burger King.
Yeah, fed him, took care of him. They knew they had to give him up in court. They knew they had to put him through the process, but they took care of him along the way. He was not a casualty. He was treated with dignity and respect, and he was a little racist monster.
And because there in that instance, he was innocent until proven guilty, even though we already know who he's guilty because we knew who he did, you know. But he was still
9 bodies, and left one alive to tell the story. Oh, so you took me to an ugly place with that. Is Rhino what we got to do? We got to get Rhino's segment in.
So as we transit, Rhino, come on with that beautiful face mask you had on earlier. So I see that face mask. You get
pretty beautiful queen. Rhino was just celebrating his queen. I love that.
Yes, yeah. So Principal Caffelli, DJ Ronnie, you see what Principal Caffelli just said? We often think that it is white officers who need sensitivity training, but there are black officers who need the same sensitivity training. You know,
the principal is correct.
Right. And everybody, you know, I remember I had an incident when I was a sitting councilwoman with an officer, and it resulted in us being in court. And it was just his arrogance, and I met him right where he was. And I remember when we got to court and we had to go to mediation. And then so we had to sit and talk face to face. And at that moment, he said to me, Ms. Williams, I act like this because I'm told to do that. And I had to say to this officer, and I had, you know, young man, your job is to get home, you know, is to protect and serve and get home every day. You don't know who out on those streets may have to come to save you one day. You cannot come every day on the street starting at 10. And it was a pivot point when him and I had that conversation. But again, if there is that blue wall and there are people in there telling you that this is how we act and this continue on, yes, it's continue going on, that is a problem. So we do have a lot of work to do where civilian review boards will be very helpful because they'll have an instrumental part in giving officers a different dynamic on how to move forward as opposed to them just doing the traditional blue wall training.
All right, y'all. So we want to transition and give Rhino his segment. You know, and so what you got, Rhino? What's popping, brother? I think you muted, man.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
He's going on too. He blow.
What you talking about? Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
You muted.
Now you muted.
You can't hear us.
No,
we still can't hear you.
There you go.
Nope.
No.
Is your computer on mute?
We can't hear nothing, brother.
Sing anything.
I hear you. Computer on mute.
Can you hear us?
I can't wait till we get back on the studio.
Yeah, me either, bro.
Nope. Did y'all talk about beautiful Cicely Tyson as we wait for Rhino to come in?
I was talking about Rhino's beautiful wife. He just celebrated his wife. His wife just had a birthday.
Yes, she did.
And I love to see these young brothers celebrate their queens. That's healthy. Our generation did terrible on the marriage and relationship front. Terrible, right? I'm making it plain as a victim on
but
Cicely Tyson, 96.
But did y'all? I mean, I saw Dashawn posted something on his Facebook page. He said that Cicely Tyson and Minister Farrakhan are first cousins.
That I didn't. It's so much. Listen, 96 years. It's so much. The things, you know, she did 2 interviews. I didn't just see the last interview that she did with Kelly on Channel 7, but I did see the Gayle King interview, and because her book just came out, her memoir just came out, and I tell you, whew.
Test
Right,
1, 2,
go
3,
ahead.
Ronald. Test 1, 2, 3, brother.
1, 1, 2. You hear me?
There you go.
He's
on the wheels of steel.
black. That's right. Back in the black.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Hey, with that DJ voice.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I was about to say before I got started, man, I just wanted to give blessings to the family, man. You know, and condolences and everything, man, to the family, because that was a touching story. And I mean, and we hear it too many times, you know what I mean? But it's just so personal. You know what I mean? It's just so personal. It's so close to home always when it happens to us. And yeah, just blessings to the family, man. You know, that was mad touching. You know what I'm saying?
And tears are a part of the healing process. So, you know.
For real. That's real. For real. But
So what's going on in
know,
that house? Are you celebrating that beautiful queen there? What's going on? Y'all get cake wasted or what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, before I even get to the birthdays, I just wanna make a couple announcements. I know on a lighter note, comic books. Everybody that's down with the comic book community, Wu-Tang is going to be in the next, I believe, in the next issue of Deadpool. Wu-Tang's got some new thing going on with Marvel Comics, and he's going to be in the next issue of Deadpool. So if you want to check that out, check that out.
Oh, we gotta bring in Todd. We gotta bring Todd in to talk about. You know, Todd is Mr. Comic Book.
Oh yeah,
not just Todd, but our principal at Shabazz High School is a serious comic artist.
Yeah,
he's
yeah. And I got a whole family of artists and graphic artists and graffiti artists, and even myself. I used to do it myself back in the day. So yeah, I mean, we got mad love for that for that world right there. Also, I want to shout out Jay-Z. His cannabis company, Monogram, has just launched, and they're putting out their products now. So if you anybody that's you know, that gets down with that world, you know what I mean, check it out. The name of his company is called Monogram, and they're putting out their new products.
And if you don't, just let us know when he goes public, so we can get down with that part of the world, the finance part.
Right.
And that's an important place for us to be looking to grow, and we need to be aggressive.
It's true. Financially, yes. Economically, yes. Most definitely.
Economically and medically, right? Because
yes.
I have some experience with some cannabis-based pain relief supports, right? They do help. They do help.
Right.
I got my lungs torn up years ago. My doctor at the time suggested marijuana tea. Right now, I was, dying the world Muslim. I was like, I don't know if I could do that, doc. Right? But I hear you, right? That's over 30 years ago, right? And I'm, still, I'm like, I don't know about that. But from practice and experience and understanding intent, legality versus illegality, and purity versus toxicity, street versus naturally and properly cultivated, good stuff. I mean, it's an herb.
Right. It's more holistic. Right. It's a holistic way in medicating. Right. It's a holistic way of medicating. It's definitely better than any of the over-the-counter medications, prescriptions, and all of that kind of stuff. Definitely.
Keep me posted, especially on when it goes public, because I'll be with Jay-Z on the money point. Yeah,
yes,
we gotta talk about the stocks, because that would just happen this weekend, and so let us know. So what's up next? Go ahead.
Yeah, that too. Like we said, economics, man. It's all about economics right now for us. Also, so now we can get back to the birthdays. I definitely want to again.
Go ahead, because I just want to talk to you about Snoop, but I'll do it after. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about Snoop. But for the birthdays, I definitely want to big up again my wife, the Queen Dahomey. You know what I'm saying? She just had a birthday yesterday. As well as the God MC Rakim. The God MC Rakim definitely had a birthday yesterday on the 28th.
Yes. I didn't realize he was that old.
The 18th letter. 18th letter, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. And also
tried to glaze me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Also, J. Cole, another one of the young gods, one of the young minds
He's getting a lot
that's
of
out there today. J. Cole, he also had a birthday yesterday. So big ups to J. Cole.
Okay.
You gotta think about it, man. We talking about some great minds on this one day. We talking about January 28th, and we talking about Rakim and J. Cole, and then check this out. Sister Soldier also had a birthday on that day. Yesterday.
She's coming out with a new book.
Sister Soldier.
Listen, let me tell you.
Now, Zayed.
Hold up. That's
Zayed. I know you can go in on some of that history of Sister Soldier and Bill Clinton and all of that.
Even before that, the National African Youth Student Alliance. We had an organization around her back in the late 80s, early 90s, and she was still Lisa Williamson then. It wasn't until she engaged Public Enemy and had this serious tug of war with them over their direction that they pulled her in with her voice and her knowledge of self, and she became Sister Soldier. And somebody needs to find her album. She dropped a hot album behind her relationship with them that is fire.
I play it all the time, brother. I play it all the time.
Right? And then when she pulled
I play it all the time.
Yeah. Then when she pulled back after the NAACP left her hanging when Bill Clinton, trashed her, which was terrible. Right? You cannot let the white man in your community and trash your children. That was terrible. Right? She pulled back and pulled off the first classic hip hop novel with The Coldest Winter Ever, and she's still running that series, and she's killing it.
I
love the hell out of her.
I gotta come back and come back in real quick.
I
gotta come back in real quick. Because
Okay.
I'm hearing some interference.
Okay. So Sister Soldier just has a new book that's coming out. And I think, and it's still building off of The Coldest Winter Ever. That book was I think I read that book in like a day and a half. That book right there. And I had even talked to Sister Soldier, that's something that she should actually make into. And she's probably talking into something that's probably.
There have been negotiations for years as to whether or not how that was going to go to film.
Go to screen. Oh, yeah. And that right there is just, that was a good book. And it gives you visual because if you grew up in the urban community, you could just picture everything that she was talking to. And when I was reading The Coldest Winter Ever, I could it made me think of Prince Street, and I think it kind of brought me to the mind of Rashid and what's the brother that's Hassan Prey and Akbar Prey. I'm sorry, Akbar Prey. So the book was just a very good read. So I hope that it does come. And speaking of Sister Soldier, her new book, and possibly coming to TV, Rhino, did you get to see the Salt and Pepper?
Yeah, I saw it.
The only thing I would have to say, I like that they were involved, but Rhino, can you just tell me a little bit about what's the dynamics of the DJ? I can't even think. Spinderella. What's that dynamic? What are we for people who don't know? What are we missing?
All right. I mean, they covered partially in the movie about the original Spinderella. They had an original Spinderella before the one that we know of. She came in. She was there shortly. She was there. Maybe for some of the recordings as well as the photo shoots for the album cover, stuff like that. But before they can even do videos, before they can really even go out on and do any real tours or anything like that, the original Spinderella was fire. That I think they showed in the movie. I believe they showed that in the movie. I saw it. The new Spinderella that came in after her was basically there from the entire time that they had a career. I mean, she was there from that point on. And I mean, I recently saw a interview with Salt and Pepper on another show, and Salt was mentioning how, Salt and Pepper was already established. They were already a group and this, that. They were already a company and this, that, and the other before Spinderella. But this was all in the first album. Like, you didn't even really pop off yet. Like, you didn't really jump off the ground. How were you already, how do you consider yourself established when you're still trying to get your first album off the ground? You're not really established at all. Because Spinderella, the second one, the one that we know of, was there from that point on. She was there from the time that the first one got fired. She was there on. She was there for the videos. She was there for the shows. She was there for the tours. She was there for everything afterwards. So how could you cut her out and act like she's not a part of the group? And then when you talk about hip hop and you talk about respect and love for the DJ started this, so you're supposed to give them respect. And honestly, they had a song on the first and second album that was dedicated to the DJ, like most hip hop groups do. You have a record that's dedicated to your DJ. You talk about your DJ, big them up, and they show their skills on the song. So they had that on the first album, Beauty and the Beat, and I believe that was with the first Spinderella. And then on the second album, Spinderella's Not a Fella, but a Girl DJ. That was the one with the recent Spinderella. She was on that. So they had these songs. They were doing things in a hip hop format, but somewhere along the line, it seems like they just kind of lost their hip hop chops or lost their hip hop understanding, like how this goes down. You don't just, I don't know, man. Spinderella was there from that first album and the tours and everything on. And it just seems like they just trying to act like, oh yeah, we were already something before her. She ain't really nothing to us. She was just like, she was just some hire. We just hired her for some work and that was it. And I was like, I thought you was girls. I thought y'all was girls. Y'all used to be in the videos. Y'all used to be in interviews together like y'all was girls. Y'all spent time behind the scenes. Y'all spent time as friends and family. Y'all knew each other's families and stuff like that. So like, how do y'all do that? But I mean, again, I'm on the outside looking in, but that's just how it looks from the outside looking in. Like, how you do that?
Yeah, and
let me tell you, that they played themselves, right? And because what they've done is that they've set it up for that sister now to write her own story, right?
Exactly.
And not only is she gonna get more money than they got, right? She's gonna get a way better deal in terms of her deal, because I understand that she's been approached by the same people who produced the BET thing on New Edition, right? Okay. So it's not going to be them white boys and them white folks over at what's that? What's that?
Lifetime.
Yeah, Lifetime.
It was, and that's the interesting part, Ed, because it was Lifetime, but as I understand that, it was a Flavor Unit production. So that's the interesting part.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's something else, man. But I heard that the folks at BET now are approaching Spinderella to do her piece, man. And I even heard that some folks at Netflix are going to get into the bid. So if Netflix get into the bid,
that's huge.
That's going to be the end of the bid.
If Netflix get involved, that's going to be huge. And if Spinderella gets her say in that Netflix deal,
right. That's what I'm saying.
Crazy.
Right,
that's going to be crazy.
Her lawyers and them already talking now about selling her story, man. So if that goes down the way it is, then and she got a bidding war between BET, Viacom, and Netflix, which is something didn't happen to them. So and everybody's gonna be interested now in hearing her story, because that old saying, "He who laughs last, laughed the loudest." Because they told their story. Now she's gonna tell her story.
And she should have been.
And remember, she ain't got to share her money with none of them.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I think she's already got some kind of clauses that they can't even speak. Like say her name in interviews and stuff like that. It's gonna cost them money.
Yeah, because I'm seeing a headline that says DJ Spinderella disappointed over being wrongfully excluded from Salt and Pepper. So yeah. Fortunate.
She put out statements and everything about that.
Yeah. So the other thing,
but you can't write me. You can't write my history, right? You can't.
Right.
You cannot. If I've got a history, I'm allowed to go to court and tell my story, right?
Right.
And a judge would say, well, I'm sorry, but she's allowed to tell her story, right? And if you think she's lying, then file a defamation suit. If she's not lying, then you've got nothing to say. Let her tell her story because that's her history in this group.
Right.
And remember,
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't really like that. I mean, Kim was a big Salt and Pepper fan when she was growing up, and
Yo,
she
a
saw
lot
it and
of
she
people
thought it was,
fired back on that.
right. She thought it was real booty. She was like, yo, this is garbage. You know what I mean?
Especially as we understand, as younger, but as grown women, you would hope that you would evolve and then you would, say,
Right.
and even because they dealt with how they felt about, their experiences as growing up and how how they perceived each other. So that also gives you insight. If you felt that way about each other, well, how do you think you're making her feel at the same,
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. It's like where's the love for real? You know what I mean? In that group.
What I was going to ask you about, we never really talked about that. Snoop is just doing his thing, him and Martha. They're going to be doing during the Super Bowl. They have a prime time that they're going to be doing the Puppy Bowl. And I'm just like, Snoop is just really doing his thing.
What, you said him and Martha Stewart?
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but he's been doing he's been back with Martha Stewart for a while. They have, like the cooking and everything. His how he has diversified his portfolio is truly amazing. And it's
Tell
not
me about it.
talk about, the different things. I mean, we see him Snoop on like primetime commercials.
He's doing sportscasting. He's doing sportscasting now. That's crazy. He's doing sports commentary.
Yeah, that's because he didn't he do that fight where he saw somebody get knocked out and he was all over the place while
Talking about the hockey game?
No,
the hockey game?
I thought it
was a hockey game. He was talking about somebody. Somebody got swung on. He was like, "Oh, he just swung on home."
No, it's the Roy Jones fight, and
it was the fight. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, that too. Oh, you talking about? Oh, I know who you talking about. Yeah,
that's what.
What was dude's name? Robinson. Who's the basketball player's name?
We said
no. It was the Roy Jones fight when dude got knocked out or something, man. Somebody got hit.
Oh, okay.
And when they was talking about when all of the media was saying they wanted to use his clips, he was like, "Yo, y'all got to pay me,"
Yeah.
He's like, no. He's like, and then he immediately said, "I'm willing to be a sportscaster." What's the dude on ESPN? The black guy that's
Stephen A.
Stephen A. He said, "Yeah, y'all got to pay me like Stephen A."
Yo, but people would love to hear Snoop commentary.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, just listening to Snoop, it have you rolling, man.
Yeah, you can't.
I was rolling listening to Snoop doing that.
You can't. You cannot not.
Him want to be Snoop Zion,
Yeah,
we want to see
right.
some of that.
Oh yeah. Snoop Lion. Snoop Lion.
You can't knock his hustle, man.
His hustle is serious. But you know what? Out of all the reality shows, Snoop's reality show was one of the ones that I really did like. He would be,
Because
just
it was real.
Yeah, and just him and his wife and his children.
Yeah, the family. The dynamic between him and the family.
Yeah, it was just Snoop.
Yeah.
He didn't play with the kids. He was really good. I love Snoop. And just
everybody loves Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves Snoop. That's one thing about Snoop. He's found a way to cross all the barriers across this globe. Somehow he's crossed all the barriers across this globe. When you think about it, like Snoop is loved in Russia. He's loved everywhere.
The corona,
you know what I mean? Everywhere.
Yeah. But this is what y'all just said. Everybody loves Snoop. He can take that line and ride it to the bank for the rest of his life.
But DJ Rhino, as we going to wind up, we got 2 more minutes. When we come back, it's going to be Black History Month. And what are we going to be looking for? Hip hop during Black History Month.
I don't know, man. I'm going to be looking to see who got something to say, who got something to show and prove. You know what I mean?
Listen, I got a young for you.
But at the same time, let's keep it real. Black History Month ain't for us; it's for the others. We already know what time it is.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
No, all of us don't know what time it is.
No, but I'm just saying. I believe enough of us know what time it is to spread it on to those of us who don't. But that month, that short month right there that was given to us by somebody else, and those are the ones who need to learn.
Well, that's why we celebrate history all year long. Well, let's close it up.
Exactly.
Any final statements y'all want to make in this last minute? Donna?
Y'all got? I don't have anything. Peace to everybody, man. Much love to everybody. Happy birthday, everybody. You know what I'm saying? That had the birthday. That's what's up.
Donna, you got to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. No, all right. I want everybody to look forward with a critical eye to the emergence of a film called Judas and the Black Messiah. This is a film coming out on Fred Hampton, on the murder of Fred Hampton, on the FBI agent that had played a hand in setting up the murder of Fred Hampton, right? We had my little brother, Fred Hampton Jr., with us last night, and I'm going to be working with Fred on some other projects so we can unpack that film for several communities on the East Coast, right? So it needs to be looked at critically. But the main thing that I want folks to take away from that is that not to look at the film and say, "Oh, that was good," you know, and that was the history of Fred Hampton. No, that was a fictionalization of the history of Fred Hampton. I want y'all to study who the real Fred Hampton was, right? Only 21 years old, one of the best organizers to come out of the Black Panther Party, right? Was on the cusp of national leadership within the Black Panther Party when they took his life, right? You want to understand why we need forces like that in the street. Fred was organized, was politicizing the baddest and the biggest street gangs in the country, right in Chicago, right? Turned the Young Lords into a revolutionary organization, right? Out of that came the real Rainbow Coalition, all due respect to Jesse ODB Jackson, right? A phenomenal young organizer, right? And his death and the death of his comrade, Mark Clark, represented the bloodiest year that the Black Panther Party faced as a consequence of the FBI and the national security apparatus of the United States destroying the Black liberation movement on the heels of their killing Martin Luther King Jr. On January 15th, 1969, Martin Luther King's birthday, they killed Bunchy Carter and Johnny Huggins in Los Angeles. And it ends December 4th, 1969, with the killing of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. 28 Panthers were killed over the course of those 12 months.
So this movie is out now, Judas and the Black
No,
Messiah?
February 12th. That's
February 12th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And see if we can get Fred Hampton Jr. on. But no, just everybody have a good weekend. They are forecasting some inclement weather, so just be safe, and we'll see you next Friday.
In America.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank all y'all for coming through and doing the show. I want to thank all of the guests. Obviously, thank the disciples, and want to thank the Dorsey family for coming through and let them know that we're definitely praying for them and with them. And we here anytime they need us. And obviously, I want to thank you and Donna Zaid for just doing an excellent production tonight, man. Just in terms of what y'all put together with that family was just awesome, man. So I want to say thank you.
It was really important.
And if you just, one of the things that I would like to do before you officially close out, if we can all just say his name, Carl Dorsey.
Carl Dorsey. Yeah. Definitely.
Carl Dorsey.
All right, y'all. We want to say thank you again. This is All Politics Are Local, America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. We'll catch y'all next Friday, same time, same place. All right, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.